Reveille.
Look at us now, tip to tip.
Ooh, Jesus.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
It's us doing what we love. It's time to bang. Oh, yeah, it's Monday morning. Get yourself fired the hell up. I'm going to have to wear that t-shirt, and this is the best damn combat sports show they ever considered green lighting. Okay, it's called Morning Kombat. Welcome on in. It is Monday, June 16th, 2025. It's my wife's birthday today, by the way.
Hey, happy
One
birthday.
day after Father's Day, so shout out to my lovely bride.
Or they give you one day and then it's time for you to shut the fuck up again, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle of like Mother's Day, our anniversary, her birthday, and all that.
Yeah,
like the same.
You get your
season.
day, but that's it.
Brian Campbell right here, Luke Thomas of the DCs right there, and I'm gonna have to pay up. So tune in, stay tuned into this show for today. Right at the start
we need to
of
tell the audience the truth, which is that I came here with 2 shirts. I even tweeted about it.
yeah, but these
Hold
are
on.
aggressive.
Then I get to the studio, and then the North Korean censors. They say authoritarianism is rising in the United States. It's rising in the MK studios.
Did they call the National Guard in?
He called in the Marines.
Okay.
And he said, just give this guy the wood shampoo. So I showed him the 2 T-shirts. This one, they barely approved. They barely approved it. And the other one, they were like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah. They're like, Mr. President, the second
that.
T-shirt has arrived. Yeah. And, okay.
We should have had you reading upside down, My Pet Goat. That's what Bush was reading when they gave him the news at the elementary school.
Of course, that's from our MK Jeopardy episode.
So
where
anyway, the
didn't
long story
lose.
short is BC now only has one shirt to wear because I got vetoed by the censorship regime as authoritarianism creeps up in this country.
We will reveal this shirt, and I will wear it for DMs from Donks and Have You Seen This Shit later in this episode. But a fantastic episode for you today, by the way, as we recap all things UFC Atlanta and maybe BC and LT bend over, bend down, and mea culpa to one Kamaru Usman.
I'll say I'm sorry. I'm not going to bend over.
Dude, Kamaru Usman made his body will fall apart and they'll remove him from the octagon for good look really bad.
So it made it look bad on Saturday. I don't know how.
Like, I thought he'd be. Remember when R2D2 was in Chewbacca's backpack in episode 5 in the Cloud City? Because he was all in different pieces. That mean robot like, took him apart and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that's what was going to be Marty from Nebraska.
You mean C-3PO?
C-3PO, yeah. Oh, did I screw that up? All right. Either way, dude, Kamaru Usman looked good. And we're going to talk about that. Joaquin Buckley
still have
also
some
in that
questions.
main event. Namajunas was back. Also, Richardson Hitchins defended his 140-pound title with a big breakthrough TKO of George Kambosas.
Can we say something for a moment about that? Just for a moment?
Sure.
When Kambosos, who on paper, is a fine fighter, but nothing special, when he luck boxed into that win.
Okay, he fought his balls off, but
he always fights his balls off. The question is not whether he fights courageously. The question is whether he fights excellently. And what we had said was he doesn't fight excellently. He gets this, what is now clearly in retrospect, and an unbelievable lucky opportunity to beat a very diminished Teo, and hasn't done anything else since, except every time he goes up against anybody halfway elite, he gets worked like a summer job. 24 blank rounds against Haney, to say nothing about this one, or about Lomachenko, or you could just go on down the list, BC. We were fucking right when we said about him, and our Australian viewers got super mad at us at the time.
They'll realize one day about the esophagus. I mean, it was a diminished tail.
This is what I mean about Kamaru. Kamaru absolutely looked good on Saturday. There's really no question about it. But Buckley fucked up big time.
So what Luke is basically saying is you'll see in the end why he was right from the beginning.
No. I definitely, no. There's no question I misjudged what Usman has left. But I didn't look at this and think, oh, well, that's enough to beat the very top guy. Okay. I didn't get that view.
You can like this show if you want to be so helpful to us. We'd be very thankful. Subscribe on YouTube. Thank you to everybody watching on the DraftKings Network or on audio only, where you find good podcasts. Also, you'll see our social handles and our extended YouTube channels. Luke's Substack on fire this week after that interview with Kyle Kulinski.
It did really well.
Well done.
It did really well, yeah. So thanks to everyone who checked it out. Thanks to everyone who, you don't have to promote it. But
you should get Tucker Carlson on next.
I don't have much interest in talking to him. Yeah.
Maybe
I used to. I briefly.
Palin's
here's a little bit of a.
Sarah Palin?
No. Here's a little bit of a backstory. I don't know if I've told you this before. I briefly, for like a couple of months on a project, worked with Tucker Carlson's brother, Buckley Carlson. That's his name.
Of course.
Buckley Carlson. Tuck and Buck.
Yeah.
And if Ian Gary was there, he'd be the
Cuck. Yeah. All right. Hey, okay. There we go.
I don't even like doing those
What
jokes.
the fuck? All right. Let's bring in the third member of our team, if we're counting correctly. Ninth Island. This is the son of an Australian. You get the point. Main card minute's own Long Island Luke Nocita behind the glass. How are you, friend?
I'm good. You know, my dad was in shambles after Kambosas' performance on Saturday.
I'm
but,
sure
you know,
he was,
No, he had no idea that fight even happened. But shout out Manich. Manich joined us on Main Card Minute this weekend. It was a good
Did
time.
he?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Wait, in person?
No, it's 3 on Zoom, but you know.
Oh, okay.
Did he rip the bong?
He didn't have anything with him, so he was faking it, and people were like, "Damn, Manich ghosting these bong hits, killing it."
Kind of like Luke with the tequila last episode,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. No.
I had stomach problems that day. I had to fake it.
I'm not
Couldn't-
allowed to tell people what happened, to your bowels, in the leading up to that.
There may have been blood.
Is this like you're such a super fan of Cannibal Corpse that you have to live out your bodily fluids the same gross
I didn't
way?
say that there was. What are you talking about? I said that there may have been.
Perfect transition here. Grab your MK merch. What are we, 3.0 at this point? Either way, it's good shit. Morningkombat.shop is live. It's ready. It's going. So thank you to everybody that has responded of our first batch of new stuff. Those signed posters and all the good stuff we're going on there. Long Island Luke doing a great job running that site. The money goes to all of us. So let's go. Let's keep it going here. It's a great way to support the show. Morningkombat.shop.
Yeah, folks ask, how can I support the show in this iteration of it? That's a great way to do it.
And if you think what you've seen is all you're going to see, no, we're gonna keep coming with some fresh stuff to outfit you, Saul, his significant other, whoever.
Maybe the shirt that you didn't pick, we can put on the store.
I mean, I don't know. We
The
haven't
one
seen
that the
this one.
censorship
I've seen the
regime-
reject.
The
reject
one that
ones.
the censorship regime doesn't want you to see.
Yeah, I mean, we might lose our sponsors instantly if we put that out there. All right. There it is. Okay. Hey, I think it's time to get into the program today. So let's do it right now with topic number 1, UFC Atlanta. A loaded fight night from the standpoint of big names. 3 former champions on the card and a welterweight main event with absolutely legitimate title implications. Unless you were Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell coming in saying, listen, ambitious.
We were hardly alone.
Listen, ambitious Unk. Listen, Uncle Marty. It's cool that you're talking about fighting for the title next. It's cool to talk about going up to middleweight after that. But you're 38. You've been out for so long. Blah, blah, blah. Well, Kamaru came in there against a red-hot Joaquin Buckley riding a 6-fight win streak and in a lot of ways looked like the Kamaru of own, scoring what we thought, or what my eyes thought were victories in the first 4 rounds or advantages on the scorecards before fighting off a late Buckley rally. So, Luke, too little, too late at the end for Numanza. What is the story? This is a classic question. Is the story of this fight and Usman reminding us who he still is at this weight class for the first time in 4 years more about what he did, retooling, taking time off, and proving that he still got it? Or more about what Joaquin Buckley didn't do for 4 rounds when 1 takedown was enough to neutralize him completely?
I'm going to say 50-50. And I know some folks might want us to get on here and eat crow. I'm happy to eat crow because the central point that I think there's no way around is I thought Kamaru Usman was going to look not decrepit, BC, but like obviously diminished, right? The power wouldn't be there to the extent he had any speed, the craftiness, the thirst for the battle itself. I thought all of it would have just kind of been shown to be falling apart. And that did not come true, even with some of the stuff that Buckley was serving up to him. So I'll definitely take a mea culpa on that. There's no question in my mind, BC, after Saturday, that you have to regard Kamaru Usman as at least having, and I would count this bout as part of it, 1 more push. I don't know how far that push goes, and I don't know how far it lasts, BC, but you're getting 1 more push. You might get more than a push, but what I'm saying is you're getting 1 more push at the elite end of the division.
Fair.
Buckley was at the elite end. He might get Bilal next. If he wins that, he probably gets a title shot after that. He might even get a title shot next. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Well, let's talk about it right now. I don't think he deserves a title shot next, but I'm 100%
Well,
was dead wrong.
wait. We should start where we were wrong. We should start there. I am admitting I to a pretty strong degree overestimated how washed he would look.
We've kind of seen this equation before in a crossroads fight, and we knew to believe based on recent history or of where it could go. But now I'm wondering, and this is a credit to Kamaru Usman, the fact that he has been so inactive. You did take that fight 2 years ago against Chimaev and did fight admirably. We all know if it went 5 rounds, probably who would have won. We can say that over and over. But even in the fights leading up to that, he didn't have the same freshness he had in this fight. And it's a credit to him at this age that he can turn that back on. But the trends that he had bet on physically suggested a lot of what we were thinking. I think it was right that he was the underdog. I think we were wrong for basically giving him no chance. But it's not normally done like this. So how much do you think all that time off repaired what was a increasingly broken down body at the tail end of his run as the pound for pound king with that win streak, defending the title as many times as he did? Once it was over, it seemed like it was over. Do you think the time away has really allowed him to find that new fountain of youth, not just drive, because he had 5-round cardio on Saturday as well.
I didn't think that was ever going to be in question. I think a guy like that
I thought
is
it'd be
always
in
gonna
question if he wrestled as much as he did, right?
No, not for me. Not for me.
You wouldn't say at the end,
Dude,
tail end
he
of
could
his
have done
title
that
reign,
for 25
at the
rounds.
tail end of his title reign, that being broken down with injuries and falling too much in love with his striking, you didn't see dedicated spam performances like that at the tail end.
I'm not so sure I agree with that. What
Okay.
I would say is, did he look to a degree physically restored? Sure. I definitely saw that he looked physically restored, especially relative to the third Edwards fight, where I felt like, again, he had good cardio in that fight too, but he seemed a little...
Seems like a gear short.
Yeah,
like
gear short. This one he did not. And I think that there's probably something to be said for restoration. Who knows if he was on some kind of pain management protocol that at least for that night enabled him to perform well. But no, I don't think so. I mean, I think there's a couple of things about this fight that are really interesting. We should talk about them for a second. Number one, as you indicated, Kamaru would get one takedown in the first 4 rounds, and that was the only one he needed.
And he was dynamic on top with the constant...
Well, he moved to mount twice.
And it wasn't like he was rearing up, but
nope.
the constant little strikes were adding up.
He got those good elbows in at various times. Those were nice. I mean, he made good use of it. And also, Kamaru's ability to control in that particular dimension is pretty strong. But I couldn't believe how badly Buckley looked. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But I want to say something. So I went back and I watched the third Edwards fight. And I was like, how the fuck could Edwards, who got housed by Sean Brady, have looked so good against Kamaru, and then Buckley can't do shit to him basically until... No, Buckley looked great in the 5th. I think we can all agree about that. But as you indicated, too little, too late. 2 major differences I saw in this fight. I haven't seen anybody talk about this, so I'm going to debut him here on Morning Kombat.
Wow.
No.
We got first rights of refusal here?
So you know what I noticed? 2 things about the differences, and I think these are actually pretty critical. Number 1, Edwards, in the 3rd fight against Kamaru, was almost the whole time up against the fence. Even when he wasn't being pressed,
Sure.
he was just close. So what you notice from Kamaru is Kamaru does not explode into him. He almost falls into him and leans into him. And so because there's nowhere to charge.
Sure.
And so what ends up happening is Edwards catches him at the point of contact and then is able to do his game.
But Buckley's much more effective in the center of the cage.
So what happened? You saw Kamaru hit him and then run his ass into the fence. And that gave him much more momentum.
It gave him a runway for when he make those, and he give him credit, the quick, sharp cuts to take him down.
Bingo. It made a huge difference. Number 2, the way in which Edwards stuffed these takedowns, once he got taken down, how he got off the bottom, he showed his back every time. Because what that enabled him to do was to get 2 hands on one and not allow Kamaru to make a grip. Buckley never did that. He kept trying to face him the whole time and could never, ever build height as a consequence.
What was his thought of how he was going to get up? To kick him off with 2 knees from the bottom? I mean,
which is what you can do if you're strong enough. It's possible, but it's very low
and
percentage.
Usman was smothering and moving, so Buckley
the
could
way
never
to get up is to basically think you're going to be pressed the whole time. How are you going to stand while being pressed? Not, I'm going to just bench press them off of me and then stand doesn't work that way. So what I'm trying to say is, man, I got to give Edwards some credit. They really did their homework, and maybe it was accidental that they kind of just roamed that outside rim, or maybe it was intentional, but either way, it disarmed Kamaru in a way that Buckley was simply unprepared for.
Indeed. What a performance, ultimately. At this age, 2 years off, to go 25 minutes against a guy who is this dangerous, has a great motor, and is at this spot. But Luke, to talk about the spot Buckley was at and the win streak he had coming in and finishing veterans like Colby Covington and announcing himself legitimately in play to get a title shot, it wasn't just too little too late where the urgency was finally there in round 5, and he was not only able to stuff takedowns, which was the key to opening up those striking moments, but he was able to stand in there and trade. That effectiveness was not available to him in rounds 1 through 4. So when you look back for a guy in his spot, is it forgivable that he would lose in this manner to a fighter in this situation, including age and time off, even though we are talking about a former pound king and one of the great ones? Is it forgivable the way ultimately that Buckley performed and managed the rounds?
No, it is not. It is forgivable that he lost. I'm okay with that. It is not forgivable, and and the question you asked was in the way that he lost. No, it is not. Dude, you've already shown in the first 2 rounds, 1 takedown is enough. And even with that, when you get taken down, one thing that was really great about Leon Edwards is the instant you would drop him to his hip, he would pop right back up against Kamaru in the 3rd fight. Like the instant that it happened. Buckley didn't have any of that. He would wait until the position was consolidated and then try, and then simply had no method of getting up according to normal best practices. But then by round 3, he gets picked up on a single leg. It's not finished. He gets run to the fence, which we just talked about, Kamaru using that as like a runway to really push the takedown further. And then he's punching his way, Buckley is, to defend rather than wrestling through position. Someone on my post-fight show was saying, why do you get mad when fighters don't fight perfectly? That's not fighting not perfectly. That's fighting well below professional standard. Every pro knows, I'm sure you've seen it work. Someone tries a takedown, the other person punches their lights out, and they drop, and then that's the end of it. There are situations where that can happen.
Sure.
But as a general rule, if you've been taken down and held down for 10 minutes and they're up on a single, your number one job is to defend the takedown with high percentage defense techniques. Not that. And he punched him. He tried to punch his way through it. So what happens? He gets sat down again. Not forgivable. Not forgivable for someone in the top 10 of the 170 pounds of the UFC's welterweight division in a massive bout of consequence to perform like that. I don't mind that he lost, BC. I really don't. People win, they lose. But people are being like, oh, you're being too hard on him. I don't think that I am.
It's not like I thought of him as a guy who's completely well-rounded. He's always leaned toward the power, the explosiveness, the threat of the knockout, and I think he has elevated his striking to be able to disguise certain setups and land huge shots. There's no question. I can't defend that the what he was able to, or what he was not able to do on the ground. There's no question about that. Do you think in hindsight, if we're trying to see pieces that were there that we didn't notice it, did he show Kamaru Usman too much respect, like in their face-off where he's fanboying?
I didn't think so on Friday, but
he didn't show Colby Covington that respect, right? There was a little contention there. He got him the hell out of there. Do you think in hindsight, Numanza might say, maybe I looked at him too much as a hero I'm going in against?
Dude, in the post-fight, he put out a post-fight video, and I can appreciate, Dominic Cruz said...
And we have it, right?
Yeah, I think we have just his statement.
Okay.
Which could be the same thing in terms of text, but Dominic Cruz said he's going to learn a lot from this, and Buckley is just 31. I'm not writing him off, but I'm not going to grade on a curve here. If you're going to be fighting guys where, did he not say if he won this, he was potentially in line for number 1 contenders? I'm going to grade at a high level when I watch fights like that, and the way in which, it's not just that, BC, like with his stand-up is obviously formidable, his power is real, and he did, by the way, have good 5-round cardio.
Yes.
We should say that.
And he always has.
So I was very happy with that. I was like, okay, he's got good run cardio, and he tries, and I appreciate that as well. But don't you feel like watching his stand-up, it feels a little disorganized?
Yes.
Feels like he's just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, and not a whole lot of it is planned or set up or thoughtfully put together. Like, he's obviously got a lot of ability. Clearly has a lot of ability, and he is the guy who's delivered, in my mind, arguably the single greatest knockout in MMA history. Like,
And
that's
has
what we're talking about
completely
here.
rebranded himself in a new division with the win streak that he
Totally.
brought in.
I'm
Yes.
not writing him off, but I think he has to take a long look in the mirror, even if he was happy with how this went in terms of, pinch me moment in my career. You have to look at this and say there are significant areas of improvement that have to happen if you want to beat the Bradys, the Rachmanovs, whoever
And he
of the
still might
division.
have time in that regard.
I'm not saying he doesn't.
But it's like, look at Kamaru Usman. I know it's a different story, a different financial bracket when you consider Usman's a pay-per-view veteran and a former champion. But that dude's got Trevor Whitman and Henry Hooft in his corner, among others. You know what I mean? So are we looking
Jorge
at...
Santiago also, don't lose sight of him, a very, very good fighter. George
That's
Santiago,
a
I'm
super
sure.
team in
Yeah.
many ways. Are we looking at Buckley's arc and the gyms that he's went to and who's he with now and say that maybe he still hasn't found the right
There was
one?
something to be said for the fact that I guess I didn't see it, but people were telling me one of his cornermen was on, I think, Demetrius Johnson's podcast and said that he still works full-time at Panera. Now, of course, you got to do what you got to do to make ends meet. And you can be a great coach, but if the economics of it aren't great,
Yeah.
you're going to have to do what you have to do. So I'm not going to besmirch a man for having an honest job and doing his best. He might be great. What I am going to say is
Great at
Bu-
Panera or great at the other side?
all of them.
All right.
But what I'm going to say is Buckley has to take a look at that and realize that was a winnable fight, or certainly could have gotten much different scores. And the level at which he was doing foundational things is not acceptable for an elite prize fighter, period. And whatever the solution is to that
Yeah.
is the solution to
Well,
that.
now's the time to find that. Let's see the statement put out there by one Joaquin Buckley on this performance. That's small.
Want me to read?
print
I don't
for
have my
my
glasses,
eyes.
but I can read this back one. Hand wasn't raised last night, but I am still victorious and will be one of the greats. The trip has been beyond amazing, and I wouldn't change a thing that happened in my fight camp. Everything was perfectly planned. I just didn't execute like I know I could. We wanted to land early damage on Usman and get him moving back, but he did a good job neutralizing threats with takedowns. Well, I mean, okay. But don't get it twisted. Usman was more concerned about holding me than hurting me in this fight, but he did what he felt was necessary to win, and so that can't be mad at that. Congrats, blah, blah, blah. Excited about the
He fought like a veteran. He controlled it, but he was also
dude
effing him up down
I
low,
said
too.
this. I said this on Saturday night. Long Island Luke, tell me if this is true or false. Ready? The way in which Usman fought, he didn't show you anything new. You didn't see a damn thing new from him. But what he did do was fight very efficiently
Yes, smart.
in his bread and butter style of his game, which I think he can do if it comes that easy. He can do forever. True or false?
True, 100%.
Yeah, and he didn't lean on his striking this time. It was the threat of the takedown, which was the original thing that made him great. Even if we can't expect him to be as aggressive as he was in his prime and when he was climbing to the belt, he's got that level of cardio and that level of ability, especially against a wrestler who doesn't have it, to dominate in the way he did. Then what can we say about him negative? I mean, Dom Cruz was against Buckley hard on the broad, not against him, but was critical from his role as analyst and saying it looks like Buckley was never in these situations in camp. That's a pretty damning statement. I hope that's not true for him, but either way, it's the big wake up call.
This is what I'm saying. People want to pin it on his coach just because his coach has a job that's could be a distraction. And I'm trying to explain to them, maybe that is, but
Yeah.
maybe it's just on him.
That's true.
Maybe it's just a guy who didn't perform the way he needed to.
Well, look, we don't talk enough about good moments, whether it's Bushido or inspirational moments in MMA. Usman had to go through a lot of doubt. He went through a lot of injury recovery to try to get back to where he is now. Took an additional 2 years off after that Chimaev fight. And here we are. Here's Usman talking from a mental side about that journey.
I know it's been a while. And after the last one, going up against a young, strong, hungry guy, one of the most, just kind of dangerous and terrifying guys. And I was dealing with some things going into that one, but I took the fight on short notice. And because of that fight, it's almost like they forgot I could fucking wrestle. And they got dismissive, and a little borderline disrespectful. But I just had to pull out the skill and just let them know, hey, respect every aspect of my game. Every aspect. This one, it's hard. I mean, it's been a while since, not just with getting back in here, but obviously getting in the win column. I battled a lot of things just to get here. Just repairing my body, just physically, personally, a lot of things that I had to just kind of, I guess expression would be fight a lot of demons just to get back in here. But yeah, a lot that I had to go through. But thankfully, I'm blessed with a great team, great support system, great family, and I'm back here. So I just want to, recognize them. I want to recognize my family, my mom, dad, brothers, sister, T-Baby, Sammy, Lulu, Zena, baby. I love you guys. My coaches, Henry, Trevor, George, Ben, my teammates, Justin, Archie, all these guys, even guys down there at Killcliff. I love and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Whether you knew it or not, they played a big, big factor in this tonight. So I just want to say I'm thankful. But
Luke, you could really hear the emotion in him and hear what he battled through, and it does make me feel like a dick for using the locker room side of our show breakdown, which is, part of what we do, and being like, nah, man, it's not going to happen. History shows that he's not supposed to have that performance in that moment. But when you hear him talk about the injuries, it was a diminished version of him. This time off has done him well. To hear the emotions that go into that and the disrespect that, yes, he had to read on the internet or hear from people like us straight from the basement. I do feel it in this moment. I give him full respect.
My understanding as well, I don't know much beyond what I've been told secondhand, so I'm not going to repeat a bunch of it, but my understanding is just on a very euphemistic level. He's also had a series of personal issues to deal with. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
So
that changes a fighter's focus and ability, everything. It
requires a lot of bandwidth to lean it to.
Depends on the person, right? Some people can tune it out.
And I don't mean like substance abuse or anything like that.
No.
Nothing like that.
Life.
Just some life stuff. But long story short, dude, he had a nice win on Saturday. He had a nice win, and to see him back, and again, it was more just the old dog didn't have any new tricks, but the old dog's still a tough bastard, is he not?
Especially if he can
is.
take you down and lean on you and get and work, pull the air out of that balloon. It was
to be a 38-year-old welterweight coming off of 3 back-to-back losses and a 2-year layoff. I'm sorry, but under normal circumstances, you'd be like, this is not an ingredient for winning. But we're also talking about the second best welterweight of all time.
Exactly.
And he defies the rules.
So, I should have put more respect on his name
I
in that regard.
Too. I was wrong.
A lot of people want him against Bilal Muhammad next. There is that podcast incident that happened leading into the Bilal Muhammad title fight with JDM, where, Luke, am I getting it right? Apparently, they did the podcast in person. They had the cameras rolling. There was some trash talk that developed back and forth that started friendly but went a little more between Bilal and Kamaru, and it actually turned into a fight. That's punches.
My understanding.
And then they just decide we're never going to show the footage.
That's right.
Right? Because does that lead you? Now, I'm not taking sides here, but does it lead you to believe that maybe Bilal won that sequence and that's why that footage never came out?
They're all Ali guys. I wonder if it was just a way to broker peace. I don't know.
Okay, either way, you would think that could be next. I could just as much, Luke, argue that Shavkat coming back from injury is the perfect fight for Kamaru. Winner gets the next title shot in line.
Well, now it's kind of complicated. I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
Then I do Brady versus Sean versus what's his name from Philly Sean Brady. But that Brady versus Gary. Yes.
Okay.
Talking myself into a what? Obviously, that's going to leave out Bilal. So Bilal.
I listen.
What about Edwards rematch?
A fourth?
No. Edwards versus Bilal to keep him occupied.
I don't have any interest in it. I want to see Bilal versus Kamaru.
Okay, you do.
I bet UFC does too.
I think that's the only fight anyone wants to see, like Bilal in, realistically.
But that's not the fight Kamaru wants, and we have video to prove it.
And I have to ask you, I think I know what you're going to say, but Bilal Muhammad quickly tweeted, "See you soon." I know your eyes are on a title fight, but
your
if the UFC
eyes
comes
are on
to
the title.
That's also a pretty big fight. Former champ, a lot of backstory. Is that something you would entertain if the UFC came to you about it?
Who was it?
Bilal Muhammad.
Who was that?
Former welterweight champion Bilal Muhammad.
Next.
He didn't remember the name at all, Luke, apparently.
Hey, you ever heard about that name, Bilal Muhammad over there?
Our final piece of video is Usman believing Luke he may have already earned that title shot. And look, for someone in his spot with that name, depending on the person, they might have. I just think the division's too crowded for him to go straight to a title shot. But let's hear him.
Let's be honest, I'm the biggest in the division. And this is about entertainment. The UFC is an entertainment company. You want to make the biggest fight. It's going to be the winner of JDM and Islam. If Islam pulls that one out, former pound for pound, current pound for pound, who doesn't pay for that?
You feel like basically tonight you got yourself a title shot, you get yourself the winner of JDM Islam?
I mean, you don't feel like that? Who else?
You're the biggest name, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But I'm asking you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. JDM is no slouch. Let's not look past JDM. I said that in his last fight, and he went out there and he showed you guys, don't look past him. He's very, very talented. Islam is extremely talented. I love Islam. I think him coming in makes that division a lot more interesting. So if he's able to get in there and wrestle that belt away from JDM, former pound for pound, current pound for pound, I mean, I think everybody wants to watch that. So, yeah.
So, Luke, you prefer Bilal versus Usman, and I'm certainly not against it. If it goes that way, and we already know JDM versus Islam is likely next, what would you do then with the other relevant players? What would you do with Gary, Brady? What would you do with Shavkat?
I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. So
Edwards is also in this.
Yeah. So in a perfect world, here's what I would say. So you obviously got Islam, JDM, so they're cross them off the list. Like you, Brady, Gary. I think that's just a fight to make. But now it gets real hard.
Shavkat Leon?
I think you could do Shavkat Leon, but again, if you're Leon, that is a tough fucking consolation prize.
You're damn right.
But I think Long Island Luke's got some ideas.
Ooh.
What do you have to say?
I was just going to say, we're forgetting about, like, Michael Morales is in this mix, too. Like,
He's a little bit on the outside looking in, though.
but he's number 8. I mean,
Doesn't he still need like a Wonder Boy type?
I think
No,
he
he
should
just
fight
beat
Leon.
Burns.
Did just
quickly.
That's true.
Leon versus Michael Morales is the fight, I think.
Okay, so what do you do with Kamaru? What do you do with Bilal? Put them together?
Kamaru can fight.
Shavkat.
Yeah, fuck. But I don't even want to see that. I feel like that doesn't tell me enough about where they're both at.
Well, the best way to find out is have them fight each other.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It might.
I don't know. I want to see Shavkat tested against, like, Sean Brady, but I know he might not be ready for that. And I do really want to see Brady versus Gary's.
If I'm not trying to say Usman's the easiest one of the group, but what I'm trying to say is if Shavkat, for not getting the immediate title shot when he's already secured it, but he got injured, it was, I guess, his fault in a way. Not really, but things happen, whatever. Then isn't that I don't want to say the softest landing because I don't mean that, but I mean I'm not against that if you go Shavkat Kamaru right now. Because if you're not going to give Shavkat the title shot, then give him the big name former champion.
Yeah.
So
the reality is there's only a couple of fights that interest me with Bilal versus X or Bilal versus Y. But to Kamaru's credit, there's actually a bunch that could work. Right? Now, the
just
one
not
thing
a trilogy with Colby.
It's not a trilogy with Colby. Also, we didn't say this. Dude, how fucking washed is Colby?
Real wash.
Dude. Because I went back and I watched that fight. Buckley resisted what he was doing.
But how did you not know that from the Masvidal fight, to be fair? That's why I never thought, even people were giving Colby a chance in his last few fights under that. Well, what if he wrestles him for 24 minutes and controls him? He doesn't do that. He doesn't bring a threat to the table anymore.
I didn't think
at this
it was
age.
that far gone. It's gone. Like, Colby could do, not quite, he got one takedown. He could do almost nothing to Buckley. Kamaru could do whatever he wanted.
Yes.
It was such a huge difference between them. So I just want to point it out there. Like, Colby's in a bad place. Dude, listen, we're like, and I get that he's lost a bunch and he's not relevant necessarily, but like, you still think, oh, he's got a bit of a name. We're not even talking about him other than, oh my God.
Who just called him out? Is it Kevin Holland?
No, Michael
Kevin
Chiesa
Holland.
kind of suggested he might, but then was not going to. He said it's not
Kevin
worth
Holland was straight up called him
Kevin
out.
Holland wants it?
Yeah, at welterweight.
Dude, I picked Kevin Holland over Colby. What do you think, Long Island?
I don't think that's a debate.
No, I like that. But I want to see Joaquin Buckley, Kevin Holland rematch now at 170.
I'm not against that either.
I'm not opposed to that, but at some point he needs to meet another wrestler, maybe in a fight or two. And we need to see what he's been working on because that was real bad on Saturday. That was real bad.
All right. Just wanted to remind everybody out there that right now, is a good time as any to remember where tequila's story truly began. You know I'm talking about 1795 when Cuervo invented tequila. Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots, same family, the same land, and of course that same passion. 230 years later, Cuervo still right here, folks, in every pour, in every margarita, in every celebration. So enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. ProximoCuervo.com. Please drink responsibly. Luke, the next pregame preview on Morning Kombat brought to you by Cuervo is not that far away, considering we got 2 pay-per-views in June.
Sure
We're heading up to IFW, which is going to be June 28th, UFC 317. That should be a fun pregame preview.
It should be a very good pregame preview.
We're figuring out the third man at the moment, or woman, or child, whoever's available.
We should get a woman to do that with us, but I don't think we know
I don't
any
think
women
this
who
show
would.
is female friendly. And
Well,
I
it
really
ca-
have to
it
blame,
can be.
I really have to blame all of our fans who hate women for that, Luke. If you're Luke Thomas, yeah, there you go. That was well done. We landed the plane. All right, there we go. Hey, back to the show here. Let me find where I was looking at.
Yeah, good thing you don't have a computer and you use your phone.
No, I just use my phone like any educated person these days. Topic number 2, we stay at UFC Atlanta on Saturday night. In the co-main event, former 2-time strawweight champion Rose Namajunas was looking to break out from a 2-2 run after moving up to 125 pounds. She did welcome in former training partner Miranda Maverick, who was riding a 4-fight winning streak of her own. In the end, Rose would take a close fight at least was perceived on the scorecards entering the 3rd round, and really left no doubt with her control, with her top position, without striking Maverick considerably to win going away. But she was also the favorite to do it in the 6th ranked fighter, welcoming the 12th ranked fighter. Luke Thomas, the larger topic surrounding Rose, and has been for a few fights. How much did this performance change that topic? Do we believe at the moment that Rose Namajunas looks like a future champion at flyweight following this performance? Or title contender at the very least?
I want to be careful about this because under no circumstance did I look at this fight and ever think Rose looked bad. I didn't think she looked lost. I didn't think she looked out of ideas. I didn't think she looked like she was lacking. Did not look to me at all like she had any issues with her conditioning.
She kind of had that edge back in terms
had
of
a
like
lit-
punching off the break, and you know.
it just seemed clear she knew what she wanted to do as well, and then was very good for the most part at delivering it. It's just hard for me to look at this fight and be like, here we go, title contender. Like this is the one. This was the performance I was waiting for. It was a perfectly fine, competent, nay, even good performance, I think, from Rose Namajunas, but I don't know. It still kind of left me in the same position that we went in. I know that she can beat good fighters. I know she can beat very good fighters. I just don't know if she can beat the elite anymore. So, like, I'm not saying this was a waste of time per se, but it doesn't, to me, maybe you feel differently, it did not bring me to a place where I'm like, aha, now I've seen enough.
No,
now
not
I
at that
learned
place.
something. I didn't get that.
I'm closer to that place. And for, to be a super fan of somebody, I feel you have to be their biggest critic and not be lost on it. And there's been times on this 125 journey where I'm just like, I don't think she's going to get it. She's missing something that was there at 115. It's not here at 125. There was an improvement in that conversation. And I don't want to say the improvement was because she fought somebody that's lesser to her recent opponents. Maverick, Luke, as we like to call her because we can't speak English.
Maverick?
She fought well. She's limited to a certain degree, but she used her physicality, and particularly on the ground, in those transitions and that submission attempt. She made it gnarly for a second. Like, she was in this fight. I like the way largely that Rose responded, but I still feel like Rose gets hit too much at this weight class, compared to the free-flowing movement that she showed at 115. Maybe that's a footwork issue with the added weight on and just trying to find that right balance. I'm not sure. I thought the killer instinct was back, yet I don't know if I still see a dominant fighter there. Maybe that's too much to ask. She's in the 2nd chapter of her career. She's 32 years old. She's been through some very tough fights. All in all, she didn't give me reason to say we're going in a backwards direction.
For sure.
I just think we're still moving in increments. I do say this, though, not as an apologist. Would you agree with me that if you do look back at her losses in this division, right? I have no problem with the wins over Hebos and why can I never remember her name when I need it? Tracy Cortez.
Mm-hmm.
even though, again, I thought she got hit a little bit too much. Would you say that both the Firo loss, in which she broke her pinky in the first round and needed another full round to sort of recover mentally, and then kind of put it on her a little bit, and the Blanchfield loss, in which she was up 3-0 at that point and then kind of got outworked, or I thought she was up 3-0, and then gets outworked over the final 3 rounds and loses. That's not the way she lost those. They're not irreparable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, to the point you're raising, like, none of these things are. This is not like Buckley showing up and you're like, you're well below the elite standard. This is totally in keeping with an elite standard, as a matter of fact. It's just that we keep looking for signs of a spark, signs of magic, signs of ascension, signs of something transforming our understanding of it or how we think we understand it. And she just keeps delivering super solid, super competent performances that seem to confirm what we already think to be true. Now, again, we thought that Kamaru was going to look like an old washed, nothing coming into Saturday, and that wasn't true. So our assumptions are only good as, 50-50, I suppose.
But her offensive wrestling was there. That was nice to see.
Yep, for sure.
We got some sound from Rose grading her performance. Let's listen in on the thug and former 2-time champion.
I was really happy with my my ability to just go out there and fight and not just worry about being perfect, So there was moments, obviously, where I felt like I was kind of thinking a little bit, but I was really proud of myself that I just kind of let it go and just not worry about the outcome so much and just fight.
Yeah, you've trained with her in the past, so the ways that you guys have trained, obviously, that stays in the gym. But now that it's done, was it more or less what it looked like in sparring when you guys trained together?
There was, I think, it was more or less. I think in training, she was a little more tentative on the feet, more like backward stepping. Like there was maybe only a couple of times where she would come forward a little bit. In the fight, she was a little bit more aggressive in the second round, I think, from my memory. But yeah, I would say it would always be a very she would shoot more, I think, too, in training. So so that was something a little different, I think. And I think that I grapple with her more in this fight than in training.
So we talked about you training with Miranda. Was that something you'd be willing to go back and do now that this fight's over? Is that,
would that
or
be
is that
something
just
you'd be
a
willing
different
to
sort of
do
period of your life?
Down
Yeah, I think
yonder?
so. She's a great training partner. Like she's she actually mentioned that in the cage.
Shout out to Jed Meshew there, live and local and late breaking in Atlanta on the scene.
Do you think he can play the mouth harp? That's the one that goes boing, boing, boing in your mouth. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I do, but I also am thinking.
You never
other
heard of a
things.
mouth harp?
In sexual connotation, I guess, but
A mouth harp in sexual connotation?
well, I thought that's where you were going. You tend to go there in terms of your T-shirt choices, so we'll see at DMs from Donks right there. Well,
Again.
now, Luke, let's get a fresh opinion separate from the two of us who tend to, I don't know. Give me a current stock on Rose after that victory, which wasn't easy. She pulled it off, though. She surged in the third round. She was the dominant fighter.
I think name value alone, like we could see Rose. I don't know off this performance if she could get a title shot. I guess if everything fell into place. I think, dude, you put her against Alexa Grasso,
That's the fight I want.
Another former champ. You get her a nice win. She gets the title shot right after that.
I'd be cool with that.
That is, even though Grasso's. Did she snap the losing streak last time?
No, she lost.
It's now, so it's continued down.
She just lost to Natalia Silva. Yep.
That's right, in a number one contender fight. It'd be weird that Rose is coming up right now as she's coming down, but it seems like the right fight to really get a test.
Actually, I think it's a great call.
How would we map the division out around that? I guess to answer that question, we need to figure out if Shevchenko is going in the direction of Zhang Weili next, moving up from 115, or if Natalia Silva has held down with that victory over Grasso, the number one contender spot.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that, but assuming that it's Silva, I mean, you could still make it either way.
Now, how do we do? Because Blanchfield versus Barber was supposed to give us some very key information about who's coming and going. That not happening? Do we? It doesn't look like Blanchfield wants to go in that direction again. So you're not running back Rose and Blanchfield again necessarily. There's enough names in and around this.
If they go Zhang Weili, they can go Blanchfield Silva. Winner of that gets
Jazz
a title
Davicius
shot.
out there too.
Jazz Davicius is right next to her in the rankings, so you could absolutely do Rose versus Jasmine. And by the way, Jasmine coming off of another great win. She looks to be in the best shape and form of her career. That actually could be a really interesting fight. But I do agree that the Grasso fight, Although I'm not so sure. Grosso's in the downswing. Jazz Davicius is on the upswing. I might like the Jasmine fight better, to be honest with you. Either of those works.
If you're Rose, though, you want the Grosso fight.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a quicker path to the top with the name value right there. But restorative, yes, restorative. Restorative win. Just not perfect. We don't know if she ends up there. But the elephant in the room or in the training corner, Luke, is the internet's obsession/hatred of Pat Barry in general as her fiance/coach, but more particularly the run at flyweight that he has been positioned almost to the head coaching role. There are other names and voices in her corner. Chico Camus, former UFC fighter, has been with her
A very good fighter.
forever as a training partner. But Trevor Whitman was a big part of her. She's had many sort of resurrections in her career. He was a big part of getting her to the top of that 115 division twice. So Luke, he was in the building just in Usman's corner. Are we too critical of Rose and her corner and by proxy Pat Barry in general when we're asking Rose in a new division to show that same thing that made her great in the former one, when not only does this take time, but are the issues we've had with Rose at 25 her fault, coach's fault? How do we put this to bed now?
Yeah, I mean, it's the situation is that there are people who are making accusations, and again, to what extent there's a trail of evidence is something you can decide for yourself. But there's at least accusations, not without some degree of merit, but that she was essentially groomed at a young age.
I mean, I wasn't going there.
No, I'm not telling you I endorse the theory.
Okay.
What I'm trying, I actually have never studied it very closely. But
I mean, Celine Dion's manager was definitely grooming her.
The reason why I have to bring it up and why it's relevant is because that is enough of a charge, at least to some of the fan base, such that Rose's career flags to any degree, and there's automatically a tying of that together. I'm not here to say that losing Whitman is somehow addition by subtraction, or yeah, exactly, by addition by subtraction. That's I don't know. What I'm just trying to point out is people need to be as careful as they can in teasing out theories of decline. It could well be her coaches. It could well have nothing to do with it.
There's also a tougher division right now with bigger fighters, so there's part of that adjustment.
And she's older and has more miles on her.
And she's fought some of the best coming in. She's fought tough competition.
Right. I mean, this idea that it's like automatically the coaching staff's fault. Again, I'm not here to exonerate them. I'm not saying that but this like, oh, we have these issues related to these matters, which are unrelated, or at least seemingly unrelated to performance, could be unrelated to performance. And I'm just saying the level of evidence that people employ to make these conclusions sometimes seem a little lacking to me.
Yeah.
But it's a question worth at least asking.
Would you buy pickles from Miranda Maverick moving forward?
I don't get the joke.
She sells pickles on the side.
She
That's
sells
her
pickles?
side gig, yeah. You don't remember when Long Island Luke told you that on the last episode?
I think I vaguely do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd try. Sure, I like
All right.
pickles. You know what I like? I like cornichons. I like those.
No, pickles to me are the devil, but that's okay, Luke.
They're just cucumbers soaked in vinegar.
I see right through them.
What does that mean? I see through pickles.
They're really cucumbers in disguise, and that's my mortal enemy. I was forced
I don't think anyone hides that fact, do they?
most of my life they were.
So basically, if anything, like you don't like anything ceviche.
I don't know what that reference means.
Bathed in acid. It's cooked in acid.
Carbonic or more like cooking oils? Okay, can we
You
just
never
move
had
on
ceviche
here?
shrimp? You never had fucking...
I don't like shrimp, but that's
Okay, well, I didn't realize I was dealing with someone who has the palate of a toddler.
why? Because I don't
Get
specifically like shrimp.
Get some chicken nuggets and a Happy Meal for this
It
oaf.
could be said you currently have the musical palate of a toddler.
I don't think that's right. I don't think toddlers have musical palates like mine.
Okay, you have the musical palate of somebody who would hurt a toddler. Okay, let's go to topic number 3. Hey,
I couldn't even muster a response to
how
that.
about the rest of UFC Atlanta? And there are a few big bullet points to talk about for a card that kind of started red hot in the prelim level with big finishes. Did peter out a little bit from the standpoint of decisions, booing from the crowd in a few fights in a row, that there was fouls and that really, decisions because of that. So, Luke, let's talk at the top here. Malcolm Wellmaker, who was not on the top of the card, had a great homecoming moment from 2 hours away there in Atlanta, but continued the streak he's on as Chris Moutinho's well-publicized comeback to the UFC ended as violently as possible. A absolutely gorgeous sort of check left hook to remove him from his senses. Luke Thomas, this Wellmaker hype train, which I was not even aware was at the station. Holy shit, I'm aware now, Luke. Good Lord. This guy's looking exciting. There's a difference between exciting and being the goods, but for another step on the ladder, that's about as good as it gets.
He has a Contender Series fight and 2 UFC fights, and all of them he's won via first-round KO. Let me just say this. First of all, I don't think I'm not trying to take away money out of some guy's pocketbook, but I think Chris Moutinho is going to get real fucking hurt fighting in UFC.
Yes.
He looks deeply unprepared for this level. And, all that time off, and I didn't see, how long was the fight? 2 minutes and 37 seconds. For 2 minutes and 37 seconds, I did not see any evidence of defensive improvement whatsoever.
You're saying it was Phil Brooks versus Mickey Gall?
Slightly better than Phil Brooks, not much. Not much. I'm not even trying to be a dick. I'm saying if he keeps taking fights in UFC, there's a very strong possibility he's going to get really badly hurt.
So the 5 stoppages on the regional level to get back here, that's sort of the Super Bowl. He's gotten as far as he can get in your eyes.
I don't know how much better he can get. I don't know what his training looks like. I'm just telling you where he's at right now, and where he's at right now is a place that's going to get him hurt
He's
real
with
bad.
Tyson Chartier, so he's not with nobody.
I like Tyson Chartier, but I'm sorry. Chris Moutinho looks like he's in rough shape. Okay.
But Wellmaker, though.
Okay, Wellmaker. To my point, they got to stop feeding him kids like this. He's hurting these fucking guys badly. They need to give him a bump in competition for his competition's sake.
Yes.
Because he's just steamrolling them.
Nosita, have you backed this guy from the very beginning on your deep undercards?
No, I got to be honest. But he was obviously really hyped coming into this. He was also the hometown guy. So
Sure.
Also, Chris Moutinho, he was on that 5-fight finish streak or whatever. Dissecting the records of his opponents.
Oh, no.
They're all like under 500. It's pretty bad. So.
Okay. So,
the regional scene has value, but like anything else, there's limits to it as well. And I appreciate that he went back out there and got after it and tried to win and did nothing but win. But he came back looking like there was no difference in his ability to avoid punishment. And you fight like that at this level, and you're gonna get real fucking hurt.
All right. Luke, let's go to the middleweight division quickly on this. Did the Armenian Edmund Shabazian look like he's fixed a lot of the glitches in this decision win over Andre Petrosky that was 30-27 on 2 of the scorecards? He didn't fold late. It looked like his body was the most sort of built and balanced that I've seen him. Sometimes he's awkward in there in a negative way.
He's got those ribs that poke out like Renier de Ritter.
He's more solid than I've ever seen from him, and he carried out a good game plan. What's to say negative here?
Yeah, no, I think I would largely agree with that. I think, Eric Nixick being in his corner, it just seemed to me, BC, we talked about Kamaru fighting an efficient fight. I thought in general, you saw a disciplined, efficient fight from Shabazian.
He wasn't throwing the kitchen sink on every combination like he normally does.
And had those 1-2s were landing real nicely, and then he would kind of put some pressure, but he wouldn't go crazy following up, which I was like, okay, this is better. So they clearly got him to fight more strategically, and I think that's going to pay dividends. How far he can go with this, it moves him to 15-5 on his record, which is not nothing. I guess we'll see. It reminded me of Rose. It was like maybe a little bit more than that. I think he fought a disciplined enough where I was like, okay, this is interesting. But this is also a guy that finished Brad Tavares in a round. It's like, are we in a better place than that? I mean, in certain ways we're in a better place than that, but in other ways we're not. So it's I don't know. It's still a weird place for me.
I'm with you on that one. The third former champion on this card, Cody Garbrandt, bantamweight, had a 2-fight win streak that was recently stopped with a loss. This was supposed to be the one he turned it around against a streaking veteran on Raoni Barcelos, who I didn't put the respect on for what he had done to Peyton Talbot and the 2-fight win streak he brought in. Luke, this is a weird fight because for 5 minutes it looked like somebody had relit the old flame inside of Cody. We saw the celebrating. We saw the robot. We saw all these weird sort of cocky, fast. You got the cornrows. He looked fit. For a second, you were seeing flashes of the old.
He had a little loose change on him.
Okay, a little bit. But I'm saying with the new tats, with everything, he had menace. He had swagger. He hadn't been fighting with that in this losing streak. Some of his losses were just too cocky, getting in brawls, like the Dillashaw knockouts. But then other times, I don't know. I didn't see this focus. But whatever he had in round 1 didn't seem sustainable. He didn't necessarily fall apart. But slowly but surely, he let go of the reins as Barcelos rallied and was able in the end to pull off a very close decision. I mean, there's not much lower you can get for Garbrandt from the heights that he was that we always compare him to. But this felt like a win that was in his hands that just got slippery and it slipped out.
Dude, I keep seeing people on the internet being like, my God, how could this happen? How did we get here? he loses 3 and never recovers. And I'm like, why is that surprise? Like, how long you been watching fights? Dude, that can happen to you after 1 KO, much less back-to-back-to-back KOs. Like, I'm very, very surprised that people are surprised by this. People are like, well, where would you pinpoint in the resume where things went wrong? And I'm like, that. Plus, add to the fact, number one, he got stopped flatlined in the amateurs as well.
Yeah.
So you have now, multiple times you've been put out on this.
And some people never recover from the
I'm
big
telling
KO
you,
of their
dude, you
career.
can never recover from certain rounds.
Yes.
I say this before. David Loazo getting beaten up by Rich Franklin. He did not recover from that. His career was never the same after that. Guys, you might see fighters take 3, 4, 5 KOs and they still fight with the same kind of reckless abandon. You do not realize how special and rare that is. You take it for granted because that's just what they do. But these guys they're humans. They're fragiles. And even if his chin is not completely busted, the psyche, what it means to have your lights put out, what it means to have been touched that way.
Does that explain how he looked amazing in 1 round and then just average as he got outworked in 2 and 3?
It seems to me that there's real psychological barriers to letting himself go, because when he does, it's reckless enough where he knows he's going to get stopped.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know how to calibrate it anymore, and I think he does have concerns about the chin sturdiness, and also he's to add on to it. BC, I know he's had other health problems associated with it. Listen, I'm not celebrating his decline. I don't have. It doesn't make me feel good. But the people acting like, oh, it's very surprising. There's not a single thing surprising about it. Damage is poison in your career, and some people, BC, have different tolerance for the poisons, but it's poison.
Hey, 3 straight wins now for Barcelos. This is a fun little late career surge from him. He had a name ready, though, after the fight to call it out. Let's hear from him.
Acho que com certeza foi a maior vitória que eu tive na minha carreira. E isso só mostrou que a luta foi da forma que foi. O Cody veio na melhor forma física dele. E a gente pôde dar lutão aí para todo mundo que estava assistindo.
I think it was definitely the biggest win in my career. It was a great fight. Cody was in great form, and we put on a great fight.
Yeah. You hit him with some hard shots. Were you surprised that he was able to take them and see the fight out?
Você acertou uns golpes duros nele. Você ficou surpreso dele aguentar e continuar lutando?
Eu sabia que ia ser uma luta dura, assim. O que eu fiquei surpreso foi realmente com o wrestling. Mas eu já tinha dito isso, que ele é um wrestling ali de origem. E acabou sendo essa luta bonita, bem dinâmica. Eu acho que só quem ganhou aí foi o público que assistiu esse lutão. E eu quero 50 mil.
I knew he was going to be tough. What did surprise me was how strong his wrestling was. Even though he comes from a wrestling base, I think it made for a really fun and dynamic fight. And I won 50 grand.
He didn't get it.
You had called for the Cody Garbrandt fight. You got it. So is there someone you want to call out? Is there a fight that you want next?
O que você quer seguir?
Eu quero o Rob Fonte até o final do ano. Quero entrar no ranking aí, virar o ano já com chave de ouro. E eu vou estar muito bem preparado se isso acontecer.
I want Rob Font by the end of the year. I want to be in the rankings by the end of the year and to basically get into the new year on a high note.
Dude, I've heard him in other interviews, like he's talking about a run to a title. I mean, there's some mindset that says if you're not talking about a run to the title, you shouldn't be fighting. I get that.
Right,
but
right.
like he's looking at it like I've put together the best run of my career and I'm peaking.
Bro, listen, by hook or by crook, by nickel or by dime.
Yeah.
He fights for every inch. He deserved to win that contest.
It was nice to see.
He survived it. Again, Cody did look good the first round. It's tough.
I mean, sometimes you can't pump back together.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is these guys are way more fragile than they realize.
Yeah. Let's talk about Rodolfo Bellato, who was a big favorite, the hulking Brazilian light heavyweight against Paul Craig.
Bellator?
I said Bellato, didn't I?
I know, but I think, would it be Bellato? I don't know.
Bellato. Long Island Luke, do you have a John Anakin pronunciation?
Adolfo Bellato.
Bellato.
Yeah, Caceres, I think. So Luke,
he fought too. He lost to Kakramanov.
Yeah, he did. I saw that in the Dirty Boxing. Luke, I thought this was Paul Craig's shot to keep his job, but in the pre-fight package, they repackaged him as a guy with big wins over, current top light heavyweights. I get that he has a win over both Jamal Hill and the current champion Ankalaev.
Submitted them both.
But they talked him up like this was a new chapter he was going to start. And to his credit, for a brief second when he hit that up kick KO, I thought, wow, he just damn resurrected his career. Turns out, obviously, it's an illegal strike because of where the knees were of Bellato at the time. But Luke, Bellato falling down, arguing with the referee, then in mid turning his body to argue, passing out, eyes roll in his head, and then waking up defensively like he's still fighting off the submission. It looked to me like he was completely KO'd here. People are calling him out aggressively for what they thought maybe was an act. Let's first hear from Paul Craig on this incident.
What did you make of the way he went down, right? Like, I'm be candid about it. We just watched the replay.
Yep.
He was awake on the way down,
Yep.
and then when he hit the canvas, he was apparently incredibly knocked out. It's not a reaction I would have expected from a blow that I thought landed more on the neck than the chin.
Yep.
Curious your take on that reaction.
Yeah, you know, a few people have messaged me regarding this, and they're saying that it looked a bit floppish, like he was maybe hamming it up. Maybe, like, I don't want to think any fighter is looking for an easy way out in this sport. We're all fighters, we're all in the UFC, the pinnacle of our careers, and we're looking to put on performances. But I can see where people are looking at it and think it looks a bit floppish, like he's maybe taking a dive. I don't want to think that, but I'll need to watch it back. It's raw at the moment. You know what? It's my fault as much as it is his fault. This is like, we shouldn't be looking at to persecute him if he's taking the knee. It wasn't illegal.
That's cool of him to take some responsibility, because
I
it
fully
wasn't
agree.
illegal. It was an illegal kick.
It absolutely was illegal, but I have to say, like, upon looking at the replay, obviously he's concussed and effed up from the kick. I don't know. I was equating it to being like on the verge of blackout drunk at times in like my early 20s, where like just jerking yourself really quickly can throw off your equilibrium and you can pass out. Like, it's happened to me during a sobriety check with my parents one time. Really awful story after a Rusted Root concert. It's got to,
send me on my way.
It's theater for another day.
Send me on my
I
way.
can believe that, in which it was the words that he said afterwards, where he was conscious but hurt, was arguing with the referee, but he said he turned so quickly that basically
He lost vision.
He lost vision. He blacked out. He fell backwards. I thought his reaction made it feel like he definitely was concussed because he thought he was still in the fight, which is a major sign of that. There's another side of it, and Anthony Smith, to his credit, as an ESPN analyst, he didn't hold back. He gave his opinion, and this is what he said on air. You see his eyes come to the referee to protest and then realize maybe I can get a free win, lays there, pretends he's unconscious, jolts back awake, allegedly. The referee comes over. This is a man that is awake, pretends to grapple the referee as if he's unconscious, trying to get a cheap win. I've been doing this a long time, and I know what it looks like when somebody is faking it, end quote. Luke, I disagree. I respect Smith for that take. He's a fighter. He's close to the action there. What would he gain? Smith's trying to say he would gain a DQ win by doing that. It was a no contest in the end. It could have been a DQ. Do you think in the end Bellato was trying to influence the referee to DQ it?
I mean, I don't think it's implausible to suggest it, but I will tell you, I didn't ask for one, but I had a doctor, and I would verify that they were a doctor, reach out to me and tell me that, and this is their words, it is 1,000% possible to look like what Bellato looked like and be actually concussed and have the symptoms and the reactions that he had. And one thing I noticed, if you actually watch the replay, he does the gesturing to the camera like this. Then the next thing you see, he's flat laying out. But there's a moment that you miss because the referee walks in front of the screen. We actually never see how his head hits the canvas. Yeah. And the doctor was saying it was driving this doctor nuts. And I'm not making, I swear to God, I'll show you the note later. It drove them nuts that people were saying this is obviously acting when they don't know what types of reactions are consistent with neurological trauma. So I don't think it's in any way implausible that he did it, but I think people loudly declaring that they know what it is, maybe you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, if he's arguing with the referee, that also shows me he's concussed because he's trying to argue like that was illegal or whatever he thinks he's arguing there. It was an illegal blow. I feel like he didn't have the understanding to know that it definitely was, and everybody.
I guess the point is that these symptoms can set. It doesn't happen all at once. You can be clairvoyant for a second,
and then
for the next second, you can be completely out of your depth. And
they were right to stop the fight. That's the
for
safest
sure
thing they could have
that
done.
yes.
So that was good. Does this give Paul Craig new life? Because it's not a win. It's also not a loss. It's almost like people want to give him a moral win in some weird way. I kind of wanted to in the moment before I sort of realized, oh, yeah, that is completely illegal.
I don't think it does anything one way or the other.
Okay.
They still need names at light heavy, and he's got wins over 2 former champs, so that's going to keep him in the majors.
But he's not getting back to the Ankalaev rematch for the title yet.
So a lot of what we've seen, Kamaru, proved that he was still doing something special, but everyone else in this card just kind of proved they were doing what they were doing.
Should I fear that you have reached back to that doctor over the DMs and asked if you can get off-brand dick pills, like on the
I
slide?
may or may not have asked for my prostate to be examined, but
by him virtually. He's just he'll guide you through it.
I just need you to look at my butthole.
Okay, there we go. Anything else on this undercard that we should talk about? There were a couple other good scraps.
That's a question for Captain Bong.
LIL over there.
Got to give a shout out to New York's own Phil Rowe with a sick comeback win.
Wow, he did have a nice comeback win. Yes, he did.
Against and what was it, Losa?
Losa.
Yeah, that was dope. Also, first fight of the night, like low-key banger, man. Vanessa Demopoulos, Jamie Lynn Horst.
Okay, that was
a
really
good fight.
That was a bad fight.
That was a good fight.
No, it was not.
No.
You really? All right, here.
That was so sloppy and gross.
Let's have this argument.
You could not be more wrong.
Okay,
let's have this argument.
Under like 2004 terms.
Yes,
it was a spirited.
It was revelatory.
What do you guys think, without looking, if you don't already know? What do you think won fight of the night?
Fight of the night.
It probably should have been.
Well, I guess it should have been Barcelos Garbrandt. I don't know what actually won it.
It was Usman Buckley, which
no.
Yeah, I can make the argument Jamie Lynn Horst, Vanessa Demopoulos was a better fight.
You absolutely cannot.
Just saying.
You cannot.
I mean, Demopoulos up a weight. I wonder if she gets cut with this loss.
I appreciate that she took this fight on short notice up a weight class, but it looked like she was fighting on short notice up a weight class.
I mean, she got just no head movement. She just got lit up.
She was tough.
I
give her credit.
Well. I mean,
I give Demopoulos credit, dude. She's tough as old shoe leather, but not a great
tough
showing.
decision loss for Cody Brundage at middleweight.
Also, did you see Ricky Simone held Cameron Smotherman against the wall and told him you're under arrest? And then Cameron Smotherman told him you're racist?
I didn't see that moment. That's very interesting. Wow. Also, Michael Chiesa getting the old guy fight win over Court McGee as they booed the shit out of him.
That fight was not great.
Yeah, not great indeed.
I do like both gentlemen, but I did not care for the contest.
Yeah, I mean, that's whether you like them or not, Luke, that was not great right there, okay? Yeah. Let's keep it going right here, Luke. You know that it's time for big-time stuff in pro basketball, the NBA Finals. I'm talking about Game 5, right? So, well underway. Game 5 is tonight, and, of course, the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder are tied 2-2, and this is your last chance, MK viewer, to win some real cash before the season ends. The simplest way, of course, is to get in on the action by downloading the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. You just pick more or less on the stats of 2 or more of your favorite players. Will they get over/under on rebounds, assists, points? You know what I'm talking about here. And boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Nail your picks and you're heating up. Pick 6 brings upside with payouts up to 500 times. Ready to make your finals run? New DraftKings Pick 6 customers can toss in just $5 right now on your first entry. You get $50 in bonus picks instantly. So look, whether you're going for Halliburton and the Pacers or SGA to back up that MVP season by winning a critical Game 5, you got to look at this from the fantasy sports side of it on the more or less. There's some big money to be made.
And it looks like, I see a lot of people saying it, I watched Game 4, 2-2, the series is tied. This one might go 7, so you could have 3 more games in which you can try this potentially. But here's what you got to do right now. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use the code COMBAT. That's COMBAT with a K. New customers play $5, get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded is non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
There you go. Luke Thomas, let's transition here to topic number 4. We got a little something in boxing over the weekend on DAZN from the theater at Madison Square Garden. New York's own unbeaten 140-pound title holder Richardson Hitchins was making the first defense of the title he picked up by split decision over Liam Paro, welcoming in the well-traveled George Kambosas Jr., the ferocious warrior from down under, who of course upset Teofimo Lopez and was in big fights, made some big money along the way against Haney twice, Lomachenko, who stopped him. But here we are, Kambosos this time on the wrong end of it. A breakthrough victory by Hitchins, who scores a TKO on Kambosos via body shot. Luke Thomas, this jab from Hitchins was absolutely
fucking incredible.
Cooking all night. Did Hitchins, in your eyes, prove he can move beyond that sort of boring label that has chased him at times in some uneven performances and look as good as he did again to maybe set the table for his epic call-out as he did after the fight against Devin Haney? Whether it's Haney, another title holder, and Teofimo, who was ringside, did Hitchins show you that he's a monster player at 140?
I don't know. And the reason why is because Kambosos is bad enough for me to not be able to tell. Hi, Australia. I do love Australia, but they were so fucking wrong about him.
The Australians
so
have
fucking
spoken.
wrong.
Yes.
So fucking wrong. Dude, Hitchins looked great in this fight. That jab, as you mentioned, and then the final shot, he comes over with the right. Kambosos tries to duck and get out of the way, and then he hits him with the left to the liver or to the body shot, to the breadbasket, and he could simply not recover. He actually stood up, for folks who didn't see it, but even when he was turned around and was waiting to go back out there, he had this pained look on his face, and the ref was like, I'm going to wave it. Against this caliber of opponent, Hitchins looked like the real deal Holyfield. But as we know, with enough evidence at this point, this caliber opponent is not Devin Haney.
Yeah.
This caliber of opponent, even though he's got the win over him, is not Teofimo Lopez. I wonder if in a situation like that, BC, he might retreat and not be as open. When I say open, I mean as willing to throw as much offense as he did. Because, dude, if you watch Hitchins in this fight, it was amazing. In the first few rounds, he's moving a bunch. He's not setting, a consistent look. He's not letting Kambosos do anything. Then, few rounds go by, and he's kind of stationary in front of him. Right, just at the end of his range, just getting out of the way and then, hitting him with stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the last couple of rounds, he's fucking hunting.
Yeah,
he's pushing Kambosos back.
He
the
pushed
whole
off
time.
any talk about boring or whatever.
Okay, but let me pitch it back to you. Clearly, we saw the same thing with Hitchins on that night.
Sure.
Do you believe he can do that against a higher quality opponent?
Yes, because he'll have to. He'll have to do that. I understand certain uneven performances on the way up when you're still trying to figure yourself out. You're still learning. That's why experience matters. That's why you have to put in those fights incrementally. The fight that I saw, even against Liam Paro, I thought he started too late. And once he put it on, he was able to get that victory. But there was still that question of, can he be that consistent threat throughout the fight? The way that he built upon in this fight really impressed me. And then the fact that when it was time to hurt Kambosos, and he had hurt Kambosos in round 5 on a beautiful shot earlier as well. But when it came time to put him away, you saw him step up. Look, he talks a lot of shit, and I think he's marketable in that regard. I think most people don't know who he is, but he's starting. That name, he's starting to hear his voice more. I interviewed him this past week, and he was, very aggressively cocky and confident, but he backed it up this time. So when you look at the title holders in this division, you got Alberto Puello, the PBC fighter, who will be fighting on that Ring Magazine card coming up in New York. You've got Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, a former title holder there at 140. Who's the other? Oh, Gary Antoine Russell from PBC. It will be interesting in terms of what big name he gets, because he declared, this is Hitchins, he declared after the fight and made sure to say it that he is a free agent. Eddie Hearn would come out afterwards, who is his promoter, and basically be like, we've built so much together. I really hope, we're going to continue working together, blah, blah, blah. Even Turki Al-Sheikh came out and said all future Riyadh season type performances for Hitchins will have to come with Eddie Hearn as the promoter. So that's sort of interesting that you're starting to see that camp solidify more, even though Eddie Hearn isn't in theory a part of part of Turkey's post plans with TKO. Maybe he will be in the end. That's sort of interesting. Who knows? Either way, whether Hitchins signs with somebody else, I mean, if he went to PBC, there's 2 title holders right now, or he can stay on. He wants Devin Haney, who happens to be on that side of the street currently. Although Devin's a free agent. He's not officially a Eddie Hearn fighter.
He could go.
He can go anywhere he wants.
Yeah,
He's definitely
exactly.
a Riyadh season fighter. Luke, we can't play the call out because it's from the DAZN broadcast, and they'll definitely pull us out. Also, he said the N-word a lot, but he has been aggressively calling out Haney and
Your
his father
kind of guy.
for a while. So, Luke, I am all in on this fight. I don't know if Haney can make 140 or wants to anymore, though. He fought at the catchweight last time out. It seems like his future is at welterweight, especially if Boots is going to 54, like kind of looks like the direction as the inside rumors are.
That's what was reported over the weekend. Yeah, fine. I don't know how they're going to move from here, but if Hitchins needed something to stamp his arrival, change people's impressions, just get people excited about what he could do next. This did him a lot of favors.
This is the highlight. He's got the swagger. If he puts it together, and he'll have to, again, to beat a Haney, to beat a Lopez, he'll have to. But Lopez was there. He was in the ring after. Do you know that Turkey? Well,
with the worst sunglasses you've ever seen.
Turkey used to like working with Teofimo, but maybe not anymore. So who knows? A lot's going to happen.
They'd still work together.
A lot's going to happen, and the boxing landscape's still far from being fully ironed out. And there's a lot of deep rumors being written about whether it's the MMA Draw or other outlets lately. So it was something to watch moving forward. Is it going to be a Turkey against the world, Luke? What's it going to be? You know, Turkey and Dana takes on everybody else or not? We don't know.
Usually rich people get their way, so I'm going to bet on that.
All right, that was topic number 4, a rising stud there in the boxing side. Let's go to topic number 5, and we are saying this, okay? It's not that he necessarily needed to be there, but UFC Atlanta was a big fight night card in a big-time city over the weekend, and it was another event where Dana White was not in attendance. What does this say about his current role? Is it good that the UFC can run without Dana, or should the UFC appoint someone else to help promote the brand for all of the times that Dana isn't there? Because as we've talked about ad nauseum, when Dana is there, like at 3:15, he left through the back door. At 3:16, he looked distant and uninterested. Luke Thomas, I was also looking to see on the Dana watch, will he be back and will he be back in his role? He was not. I say just give Hunter Campbell the damn ball. Not like he needs more responsibilities, but make that guy your voice. Either way, you got to have a consistent public voice who can answer the questions and steer the narratives. I don't think it's this guy anymore, Luke. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm not even here to make some kind of angry claim about he's got to be there and he's got to do that. It's not going to work. It doesn't mean anything. We are where we are, right, BC? We are where we are. Whether you think it's good that he's gone because you don't like him, whether you think it's good or bad that he's gone because you think someone needs to do that work, it doesn't matter what we think about what he's doing. BC, he's got his energy drink. He's got, obviously, ties to the president.
If we could play the video, we can
he was actually in my neck of the woods over the weekend.
He was in D.C. for the big 250th anniversary parade of what? The military?
Of the Army.
Okay.
The Army's birthday. It was the 250 Army. And he had a prominent seat. I'm not going to get up here and be like, it's good or it doesn't matter what we editorialize around it anymore.
Sure.
The question you have to ask as fans is, what would you like to see the UFC do about it? And the answer is nothing. Keep doing what they're doing because it more or less works, and that's the end of it. That is one option. Or the other one is, do we think that there is someone within the MMA universe that can occupy something of a similar role? And let me tell you what a similar role means. Showing up at all these events, having some answers to some of these questions, pre-fight, post-fight. It also means doing local media,
sure,
going through and talking to news stations and doing morning radio and all the things that they used to do, talking to the AJC editorial board, you name it. Somebody who can get out there and bulldog, acolyte, whatever proper description you'd like to give it. Do we think as fans that the brand needs it? Because TKO is going to look at this and say, well, look at the ticket sales, and we're about to sign probably a huge contract. Do we really need to pay someone to go do morning radio in Atlanta?
No, they don't pay for, like we always talk about, for big media tours to build big fights. These are areas where they've been able to say, look, it's unnecessary to our bottom line. We're going to get there anyway. So do they need it? No. It all comes down, in my opinion, to whether they want the brand to be on autopilot and they're okay with that as long as they're getting their financial returns, or are they not worried at all about the direction of the sport, the buzz factor of the brand, and whether you're going to build on that. In my opinion, you do need someone championing for you, somebody that's putting out the fires or taking the fires and shifting the blame or whatever you're doing. You're playing the company PR role in a lot of ways. When they put David Shaw out there, he doesn't have the answers, right? They don't really put anybody else out there outside of John Anik to host the pressers, and he does his best to answer the pointed questions from the media. If we're only talking about financial, then no. Then we should shut the hell up and let them keep putting on the cards that they're putting on and charging the prices that they're charging. I just feel like we happen to care about the brand, the sport, the interest, all of that more than they do in a lot of ways. And if Dana is so disinterested or so busy, whatever it is, yeah, maybe it's time. I mean, look, you could argue that when you sign these deals, like the one with ESPN that was historic and record-breaking and massive, and like whatever the version of the new deal that they're about to sign, which appears as of now like it could be 2 or 3 outlets at once in getting the entire package. Are we just, is everything on hold until then? From Jones Aspinall to Dana getting back in front of the mic. Like, I can understand why you wouldn't want to talk about things on the regular and give updates when they're in negotiation. And I did think Dana handled that well when asked specifically at 316 about the upcoming deal. But don't you get that feeling like everything that's critical right now for the UFC is on hold until we find out where they're going? Will that change the product at all, or that just, is it dependent upon the outlets?
I don't know. The only thing I can say is the UFC definitely made Dana White its biggest star. But the issue with that is when they become this level of star, where they're on the board of, essentially $1 trillion companies,
Sure.
when they're hobnobbing with the president of the United States, when they're launching their own independent businesses, the biggest stars in UFC end up transcending and leaving the sport because they go on to quite literally bigger things. If that's just where Dana White is, you just have to ask yourself, does the company, from a fan experience, will it benefit from someone bulldogging that front role? I know there's a lot of people who've been complaining that Dana White was the biggest star in a way, and they didn't like that. And it's like, okay, well, if he's gone, then what's the problem? And I think the answer would be, well, it's not like they're putting renewed emphasis on, the fighters per se. They kind of leave them to their own devices to some extent, although there is obviously some media coordination. But in any case, it's just a question of, like, you built up this gigantic entity, which used to have a gigantic process, and that had a complicated role. And now that era is clearly going away. Not permanently, but not in every way, but that say goodbye to whatever that was, where he was at everyone, doing everything, constantly being an acolyte. Now we're in a space where that's very inconsistent.
Sure.
What, if anything, is the remedy to this? Let me ask you a question, Long Island Luke. Do you think Chael Sonnen could do that role?
To be honest, I know people always say Chael, people always say DC, Hunter. Like, I really don't think it matters who the fuck you put there. It could be Dave Shaw. Just have the answers and everyone will be happy. I really don't think it matters who you put.
I think it's important, and we can say what we want about Coker, but he had the media, like, for the most part, believing in him and kind of championing his cause in the same way Dana did. There has to be that element. There has to be either a likable element or a must-see element to where people want to take your word and hear what you have to say, right? Like,
if Diddy declares from jail that he's going to be an MMA fan, which promoter is going to have him at an event first if he gets a pardon?
Probably UFC, but I wouldn't put PFL out of this topic right now as well. Okay,
I'm just teasing.
Yeah, but I do think that the deal will matter. What if they sign, for example, a portion of their deal is Netflix and it's only for 4 to 6 super pay-per-views per year, and then we're gonna get 4 to 6 super pay-per-views. Like right? Aren't we? Like Extreme Big Fight.
Yep.
If that's part of it.
If that's part of it, yep.
That will handle that part of my problem with them, that we don't see enough like killer matchups at the top that are going to pull in the casual fans. Netflix might demand that out of them, whereas ESPN was more, the demand was just fill all the dates. Maybe they still have a portion on ESPN if they have a small contract there, and maybe that's where the mail-in fight night cards at the Apex are. Okay, fine. Everybody's getting their fights. They're staying busy. Who will be the other? Who will be the third suitor? Is that Prime? And is Prime going to want a certain amount of big names? I hope the TV deal dictates the quality we get. That's what I hope. Because it's obvious that we're waiting for that before big things are going to happen.
That's right.
There we go.
That's right.
All right. Those are our 5 damn topics for the week. All right, Luke, I got to talk to you about something right here, all right?
Okay.
The way I feel, the way I fit, the way I look when I wear True Classic. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right now, okay? True Classic has nailed it. They've nailed the feel. They've nailed the price across my entire wardrobe, whether we're talking about not just T-shirts, but hoodies, jeans, activewear, everything that I need and that you as the viewer do to level up on your everyday style. Luke, there's something so simple about True Classic, yet it's such a powerful look and feel. You feel more fit when you're wearing it. It accentuates the right areas. It just makes you look like you're ready for a date with your wife. You're ready to go to a meeting at work. You're ready to represent. There's a way that True Classic kind of just fits all those boxes at once, and you look great along the process.
Athleisure, it does that as well. It does just normal stuff. This is a standard black True Classic shirt. I wore it because I didn't even know we were doing the read today. I swear, this is true. I didn't even know we were doing the read today because I didn't look at it until this morning. And I put this on no matter what because it's just a comfortable tee.
Those jeans fit so good, too.
They fit fantastic.
We don't usually have these conversations about, oh, nice shirt, Luke. How does it fit? Yeah. But it fits so damn good.
And again, one thing I really want to stress is it's not just different occasions. You can mix and match it with so many different things because the look is simple, clean, high quality. As BC indicated, fits well. this is what we're looking for. Is it not, BC?
Yeah.
This is it.
This is it. And we've been not so quietly doing it for a while, wearing True Classic. And from the first piece that I put on, it just was different. I felt that it was essential to my wardrobe. And snug where you want it, relax where you need it. That's really the key right there. No weird bunching, no awkward tight spots. So just a clean, effortless fit that works. You want that same thing? Here's what you need to do. You need to fight overpriced designer nonsense. Skip the cheap throwaways. Find that lane for you, that True Classic lane. It delivers premium essentials built for real life. Grab your True Classic items today at Target or Costco, or head to trueclassic.com/combat with a K to get hooked up today. Guys, there's a clothing revolution. We're allowed to look great and feel great at the same time. Also, Luke, maybe it turns back that aging curve a little bit. You know what I mean? Because
any little bit helps, and this is more than a little bit.
trueclassic.com/combat with a K. All right, Luke, you know that we had...
No, we got to start the DMs.
Right, we're cleansing the palate right here, Luke. And I'm going to say that bets need to be paid up in life.
Okay, start the DMs.
Bets in life need to be paid. So, when it came down to Morning Kombat Jeopardy and I challenged you and then I just had a really awful day of getting questions wrong. Yeah, I had to wear the T-shirt of your choosing. We're going to get to that. And this segment is brought to you by the fans, because every Sunday night we go to X. We go to Morning Kombat on Instagram, and we put the feelers out to you to get your questions answered on the show. morningkombat@gmail.com is your way to reach the show, but every Sunday night is where you send in the questions and we answer them. This one's called DMs from Donks. So, Luke,
it's time
to pay up for the bet. I don't know what this shirt says, but I've agreed to read it
so
the rest of the show.
Here's my thought on this. First of all, one more time, I want to remind everyone that the North Korean censors, I had 2 shirts, and they told me one of them was so outrageous we couldn't even put it on the show today, which...
That's a Patreon shirt. Come on.
Which I'm not saying is necessarily false, but as I explained to them, listen, when you apply to college, you got your safety schools, then you get the ones you dream about.
Yes.
And maybe the ones you dream about don't show up, but at least you try. You put in the application
Did the letter
process.
CUM show up on any of the ones you dreamed about or what? Because that's sort of the ones that didn't get approved, right?
It might have. It might have. I can't say or not. Okay, so I showed the North Korean censors this one, and they agreed to let you go into Pyongyang to put this on. So why don't you do this? You've not seen this, correct? Tell the folks the truth.
I have
You've
not seen this. I've seen
why don't you
a couple of the throwaways, but I've not seen this one.
You saw the one we couldn't use.
Yes.
Why don't you hold this one up and then read it to the audience? Because remember, the people listening on the audio platform won't be able to see it. Slide that over to you.
I mean, kids, this is what you have to do. You fall into a bet. You got to,
Promises made, promises kept.
Third song in the Dead concert, is that early enough to leave? You got to ask yourself that.
Why don't you read that out, BC?
This shirt says, "I respect women so much that I never have sex with them." Is this an indictment upon marriage in 2025, Luke, or just young males in general? Wow.
It was just, it was all I could get past the censors. This is all I could get past. So here we are. Put that fucker on.
I look washed already, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, motherfucker, you could have a fucking tuxedo on. You're going to look washed. Now, it's a large. I don't know. And this is from some like random T-shirt company on the internet.
I love that you left the price tag on.
I pulled it. Take it off. Take it off. It's just a sticker. There it is. Yeah. Yes. It looks great. Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to get some great looks on the subway going home from
Oh,
this.
that is fucking awesome. If anyone wants to send me a screenshot of that, please do it.
Wow, that's embarrassing.
All right, let's do these DMs.
Let's go into our first question from the people. From Appy Fatathon. It should be Fathathon. Dude, David Appleton. Here he is. They're from France, right? With love.
Hiding from fucking, Interpol.
David says, "Can we organize LT and BC eating some humble pie with Cake Lady,
Fuck Cake Lady,
for dismissing Usman's prospects so out of hand?" Luke, is this worse than the Devin Haney's going to tune Ryan Garcia up like a guitar?
That's the all-time worst.
Is this worse than me saying
because
DDP has no avenue of victory against Robert Whitaker? It's not possible.
That's a bad one. This is not as bad as the Devin Haney one because Buckley did fight. Well, I mean, Haney fought back too, but Buckley fought so badly, and so below standard that I was like, I just couldn't believe it. So you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. We said it earlier. Part of the story of that fight is that we were wrong about Buckley. Like, clearly we were wrong about, I'm sorry. Usman. But we were also wrong about Buckley, too. We overestimated him. It's not just one or the other. So actually, it's kind of worse. It's like, what are you most wrong about? I'm not even sure at this point.
I mean, I was pretty dismissive of Bilal's chances of winning the welterweight title as well. Juliana Pena's chances of defeating Amanda Nunes in the first, second Pennington fight, and also her most recent performance. So yeah, I guess we take L's at times. Luke.
We do. You're gonna take them. I mean, that's definitely an L. It's just a question.
I mean, I discounted Max Holloway for most of his entire run too, and he just kept proving me wrong.
Yeah. You also didn't think very highly of Ilya Taporia until I had to beat you over the head.
Well, I mean,
with
you know, when somebody introduces you to him with their piece in their hand, saying you're gonna love this fighter as much as I do, you know, it's
dude,
like,
you
I don't know if I will.
you are so unfair with that. I'm not saying I have as many jokes, but you give his C and D level jokes.
No, you know what it is I buy into all the like MK isms, and you loving Ilya is obviously one of those.
All right, that's true.
You know, I look deceivingly fit in this shirt, by the way. I mean, I'm gonna lose my sponsors in any. Yeah, there we go. Okay, all right, that's great. Next question from the people at Sticks Plays Time. Are you more excited by Ilya versus Charles at IFW or Dricus versus Hamzat at UFC 318 or 19? One of the two. What is it? 18? 19?
That would be 19.
That's Chicago. This man says, I'm personally intrigued by Ilya versus Charles, especially if Ilya wins and goes on to defend the title multiple times. So, Luke, he's asking, are we more excited for the IFW main event or the DDP Hamzat? I believe when both were announced, did we both say? DDP Hamzat, a little bit better fight.
Yeah, DDP Hamzat to me is a little bit more intriguing because there's just, it seems to me, a little bit more unknown. Now, of course, Charles could go and win and upset my expectations, the betting expectations.
It could be a wild war.
Like, I'm not in any way, I want to be clear, I'm not in any way writing Charles off. But do you not agree? There's just a little bit more electricity in that Hamzat DDP fight because of the unknowns.
Yes.
That's what it seems like to me.
Hamzat could still be this breakthrough boss at the end of the video game who comes in and stops this incredible champion's growing run.
I'm cautiously of the belief Ilya will win. And if gun to my head, I think DDP's going to win. But I really don't know in that middleweight fight. I really don't know.
Okay,
and because of that, I'm so excited.
If we believe that Islam will now be fighting JDM, probably not too long after Ilya fights for a vacant title in his own division, they both moved up kind of simultaneously. Who will have more title defenses? We're not guaranteeing that both win the championship, but if they're both going to have a good shot at it, like who will have the more decorated run in that division?
I might say Islam because I just don't know how long Ilya is going to hang around.
Okay.
I really don't know. Also, he's got to fucking beat Charles first. I mean,
you think Islam will be dominant at welterweight? Like he's dominant at lightweight? Or is the gap already closing anyway?
I'll tell you what I think. I think there's probably a few guys he matches up with well, but over time that would catch up with him.
Yeah. But yeah, DDP versus Hamzat is a hell of a fight there come 319. Do we have more from the people? This is from at Mike Herinshin 1995. How do you think Mike pronounces the last name?
Kyrian...
Or it could be Mike H. Rinshin.
Kyrian. I'm not sure.
You think
he's Armenian, I believe.
Decrepit search history on his laptop or what?
Why? Because he's Armenian?
Yeah, that was the correlation I was going for because that's the only other Armenian I know that well to really prove that. Or shout out to Manuk Akpokian.
Kopian, right?
Kopian, yes. Who are some fighters you'd like to see change divisions, and who are some fighters you'd prefer to see stick it out where they currently are?
I could see a couple of light heavies going to heavy and
I'd like to see Prohatska at heavyweight. Even though he's talking more about middleweight, I'd like to see a athletic, dangerous.
I want to see a guy at heavyweight who's comfortable being 240 but big and athletic.
Yeah, and I don't know if his punches would have if his kicks and punches would have the same effect at heavyweight, but I'd like to see him as that active kind of reckless striker.
For sure.
Imagine him against Aspinall if he could pull it off moving up to heavyweight. And
I mean, there's been a lot of guys moving. Max is moving up. Obviously, he's done 55 before, but like permanently. Ilya's moving up. Islam's moving up. A lot of guys are moving up. Volk we've seen move up. I would like to see Pantoja move up and fight Merab.
Okay. Would you like to see Gastelum go back to welterweight? Oh, no, sorry. Wrong conversation.
It doesn't matter.
Would you like to see Whaley go to 125?
I'd like to see that for sure. I could even see Shevchenko going back to 35.
But
Those are
no
some-
Rose at 115.
Is there
We're
any
done with that.
non-champion you would want to see move up? We did Yeri.
Sean is like a pertinent topic right now. 'cause everyone's
O'Malley.
talking about that.
O'Malley. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see that, yeah.
Who else?
I was gonna say personally, I'd rather Sean stay put, but I just know that everyone's been.
Yeah, he's got options.
I'd like Kayla to be allowed to move up to 145 to
Yeah,
women's heavyweight.
for sure.
That's
That
my take.
fight against Amanda should be at 45.
I agree with you on that one. Is there anyone we would want to stay? I mean, you wished Elia stayed longer. I
For
get
sure,
that.
she stayed longer.
I don't want him to bastardize his run in the division by actually pulling a Connor if he wins and then instantly call it Islam. But then again, you are playing into a really big fight angle that could be awesome.
Yep.
Do you want Usman to move up to middleweight? Do you think he's okay there? Welterweight's still his best shot.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I got for you on that topic. Thank you, Mike Rinchin. A man and his cat who is really a man after my heart with Parker Porter doing well. Parker Porter won at BKFC Mohegan over the weekend, all right?
At the Mohegan Sun?
Yeah, he won in the main event. With Parker Porter doing well with his jump over to BKFC, who are some of your favorite fighters who left the UFC and saw massive success elsewhere?
Horiguchi had some good success.
Bader going 2 division with Bellator, right?
Yep. I'm trying to think like who you could say. I mean, it's weird to say this, and it was only true for a time. But you know, Phil Davis left UFC. He might win this PFL tourney.
Sure.
We'll see. And he already won the Bellator title. He got a little something out of it. Bader, obviously, as you indicated, got something out of it. He got 2 titles at once.
Demetrius Johnson had a nice run and won. I don't think it's better than what he did in UFC. But
It's not, but he had a very, very respectable run.
He left
and
the
won.
UFC and still had a lot of success, so that's rare these days. But
Certainly.
Smiling Sam Alvey in Karate Combat.
How could we
That's
say
a good
otherwise?
story.
I couldn't. Mike Perry.
Would you say Francis Ngannou, or you would not?
Francis Ngannou? Yes.
He made a lot of money with boxing, but he
Yes.
did get.
I mean, he took
he's
L's, but
0-2
I mean, the goal was to make money. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the goal.
We'll get to him and have you seen this shit. I did not forget that he was there at a UFC stage over this past weekend. But I mean, sometimes people have left, done things, and then come back.
Yes.
Like a Dan Henderson, like that's happened. But
Yep.
I don't think they've gone to greater glories after leaving. That's sort of the thing. You know, Bader, Phil Davis, yes.
Mike Perry
Maybe people
did.
that Mike Perry definitely is the go-to on this. He's gone up to bigger things. So has Sam Helvey in a smaller regard that way. But it's usually not like this.
I'm trying to think back in the
You know,
earlier
Greg
era.
Hardy has not gone to higher pastures since leaving the
I mean,
UFC.
some of those guys who left UFC, who did the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix, definitely did. But then, of course, to your point, they went back to UFC, like
Yeah,
Verdum.
Verdum raised his profile beating Fedor.
People forget that
incredibly.
Antonio Silva almost beat him. Antonio Silva rocked his shit in that
Yeah.
tournament, and then, or maybe it was the first round. I'm not sure. but-
Pre-washed Bigfoot was dangerous, man. He's a big-ass dude.
Yeah, he was very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously it was before UFC, so it doesn't count. It's not the way, but like, you know, what Daniel Cormier did in Strikeforce. Again, it was pre-UFC, it wasn't after. I'm just saying, having a life outside of UFC. He had one.
Sure, I'm with you on that one. That's about it. What else we got from these people, Chin? At Eric
I guess you could
Bolden-
say Ronda wanted to go WWE, right? She was a hit there for a time, was she not?
She was a hit for a time. There was actually a time where she was considered that she's really good, at least from an in-ring standpoint, even though I always felt her her mic work was cringe. I don't think she went to higher. Well, she was champion headlining the WrestleMania in the first
Pretty fucking big.
first female main event.
No.
I mean,
Ronda's UFC career, or I don't even watch WWE.
no, it did not
There's no way
exceed.
she- yeah,
where the question is was it big enough that it's not a downgrade, even though it wasn't bigger than her
Dude,
run
if
in
you're
the UFC.
headlining, I mean, listen, you know what I think about professional wrestling, but like if you're headlining WrestleMania,
yes, in an all women.
I mean,
she was also headlining UFC pay-per-views. I'd argue that that's a bigger deal.
okay, how many wrestlers have headlined WrestleMania?
I have no idea how
many WrestleManias?
How many women's bantamweights have headlined pay-per-views? It's Ronda and it's Amanda.
And Shevchenko was supposed to, but the fight got canceled.
Well,
last
there you
minute.
go. And it was a fight against Amanda, so argument still stands.
Yeah, but you're now making it about women. I'm telling you about how many fighters have headlined a UFC
you have to
pay-per-view.
realize that secretly you hate women. That's
there's
why you
one,
love this
You're right.
argument.
There's one WrestleMania a year. There's one WrestleMania a year. She headlined one of them. How is that not
Now
like?
there's 2 nights of WrestleMania. Now
Okay, what the fuck? You know what I'm trying
I'm
to point
just
out.
pointing out in life. All right, enough of these F the fan. I'm sorry. I love these people. Thank you for your question.
They may or may not love women.
Eric Bolden. We are basically halfway through 2025, Eric says. What has been your favorite individual fighter performance so far? I believe we're talking
You
UFC here.
took words right out of my mouth. It's
He
Sean
would
Brady.
say Sean Brady versus Edwards. There's also Yuri versus Jamal Hill, or Paul Hughes versus Usman Nurmagomedov.
The last one, no, it's Sean Brady. because he was so comprehensively better. Again, Kamaru Usman could not do what Sean Brady did. Bilal Muhammad
Wait,
could not do what Sean Brady did.
what's the question? The most inspirational?
No,
or
who
most
had
memorable?
who had the best single performance this year in MMA we're now in June.
Okay.
So essentially halfway through, not quite. What would you say? For me, it's Sean Brady for sure.
Against Leon Edwards in a main event in London.
Housed him.
I mean, Jack Della?
Jack Della's a very good one.
It was for the title.
Very good one.
But Long Island, Luke, can you fix this? Who are we missing? We're missing someone.
I'm like racking main events in my head, and something that just came to mind, although I wouldn't really put it on this list. Nasruddin Imavov knocking out Izzy, like that was a pretty
That's a pretty big one. It's a pretty big one.
That
for
is
sure.
a real
But
big
again,
one.
for me, Brady was so comprehensively good. Dude, he had takedowns, inside camping, passing, dual threat, barely took any
very
punishment.
good.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just and it was a former champ he did that too. Like he fucking
in that guy's backyard.
in his backyard.
That is pretty incredible right there. Is that the best? I don't know. Like Paul Hughes was one of the feel-good stories in a defeat because he
I
raised
think
his
here's
profile
what
so
I'm going
much.
to say. I think Sean Brady's performance would be good in any year, but if we can be honest, this year hasn't produced a ton of that level of performances, which is why you're racking your brain.
I am
Nothing
racking my
really
brain.
stands out. Now, that being said,
Well, what about Marab twice?
Marab against
Okay, but
Sean
I
in the
guess it's
second one.
accumulation of it?
No, Marab to me, you could say it about Usman. Or Umar. I don't think so.
We're talking about a single like a Crawford
I would
beating
I would
Spence type of
entertain
one.
Marab versus O'Malley as the top answer. I wouldn't put Umar in that case. No.
All right, he did cast out. He'll be back. Umar.
But what I'm going to say is, look at who's coming back. Chimaev's coming back. DDP's coming back. Ilya's coming back. Charles is coming back. Max Holloway's coming back. Look at that dumb face. You look like a hairy thumb.
Put the camera on me.
That's what I look like when I shit blood.
All right, there we go. There we go. I think that's it for the fans, right? Thank you to these people.
All right.
Where's Daz or Key Papa when you need him?
They're not back up on that ass.
Okay. Our final fan segment, it's for the fans as they watch Luke Thomas react to absolutely ridiculous videos, sometimes involving combat sports, usually involving 9/11. Hey, this one's BC's feces. UFC Atlanta this weekend, Luke. Let's talk about it now. Francis Ngannou accompanied Kamaru Usman to the weigh-in, up on stage, sat in the front row in the preferred seats, not in his corner during the fight. But there's a lot of people that are saying not only that he could be done with his PFL contract in terms of time,
John
we may
Nash
not
thinks his
realize that,
contract could be over,
but
yes.
two, people are saying, I know the UFC, and the UFC would not have allowed that if things were as contentious as we sometimes think.
So my understanding is Randy Couture is not even allowed in the fucking building at UFC
Yes.
events, which is different than this. So maybe we'll see.
I mean, that would
It would be good for dude. Would
really
it not
smart.
be fucking awesome?
It was the best thing TKO could do. And isn't that one of the best things they could do if John really is set up to screw them? The UFC has waited,
Yes.
has allowed this to.
Yes, if John is going to bail on them last minute, bringing Francis back is such a good
or
call.
even using Francis for leverage against John to try to get him to sign against Aspinall
yes.
could be
anything.
Could be big on that.
Although
one.
obviously I would rather get Francis actually in the cage.
Dude, if Francis
or whatever.
comes back, gets paid well, and has a chance to win the championship, he will have beat the game. And
He already beat the game. He already beat it. But this is like lapping it.
I say this with respect because it's part of the news cycle, even though I was much maligned for an ill-timed crack under the guise of tequila.
People didn't like your he killed people jokes. Yeah.
Is he going to face any,
I do not know if there's any legal repercussions. Okay. Again, the reporting on that is so poor.
Yeah.
It's just hard to know what's what.
All right. We'll stay at UFC, Luke. I don't know what Vanessa Demopoulos' future is in terms of fighting with a lot of losses backed up following this loss to Jamie Lynn Horth, but she gave the performance that people talked about at the weigh-ins, Luke.
Not going to be mad at it.
Okay. Just like Van Damme in Bloodsport. You know how many times he did a full split in that movie? It's just insane.
I'm not mad at it.
Okay, that's interesting. Staying here, Luke, this is from a week earlier, but it's still related to the UFC. Remember that time we went to Atlantic City? You'll never forget going there.
We stayed at the Borgata.
Yeah, anytime you go to Atlantic City after like 1990, like 6, it's just like.
Yeah, it's a shithole.
DC has problems with it.
You want mine?
Yeah.
Atlantic City.
No, come on, man.
Atlantic
I knew I was going to do this.
Atlantic City. You go to Atlantic City.
You got to go in the summertime.
You go to Atlantic City and it looks like death.
You got to go in the summertime.
It sounds like it to me it feels like if I go to Atlantic City, Don't Stop Believing is playing constantly.
Yeah.
Because it feels like you're in the 80s.
Because
It's like Reno, Nevada. It was like once a cool place, and now it's just this shit ass place where old people go and they're walking along the thing. You got some like short dresses, asses out everywhere. It's ridiculous.
You hate that?
It's like going out to no, I'm talking about old asses, not like good asses. I'm talking like that. Atlantic City is the pit. Atlantic City is Belém, Brazil.
No, this is not true.
I'm telling you. I know you would take offense to this because you're from Jersey, but Atlantic City.
Listen, it's a little rough.
It's
but
terrible.
in the summertime, it's not bad.
Yeah.
The boardwalk, you got the rides.
The boardwalk looks like it's going to fall on top of itself.
Our state tournament. Our state tournament is Atlantic City.
Oh my God! Then you guys have a terrible state
The
tournament.
best. Are you kidding me?
Luke, I did go there in the peak in the 80s a couple times with a friend of mine whose family would go down there for work and would gamble and stuff. And at the prime, I'd stay in Trump Plaza in 1988. You know, like around the time WrestleMania is there. Atlantic City was.
So this is actually one of my issues.
It was something special. It's not even like 60% of what it's like 20% right now of what it used to be. Huh?
This is one of my issues with the movie Warrior because it takes place in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And they kind of treat it like it's nice. And I'm like, the way to make that movie authentic is to treat it like it used to be nice.
Brian Callen on play-by-play in that movie, and he didn't do a bad job.
Sam Sheridan, also the author, was doing some of that as well. John Anik was doing some.
And you were on the Mr. Faber Weed Thriller. People forget that too.
I had a bit of a hi everybody, low and windy here.
Where can we watch that, Luke? I want to watch that.
I think you can watch it on Fandango at home.
It's actually
so we can't watch it.
No, you can't. It's a streaming service.
It's actually a decent movie. It's way more violent than you'd expect. Gnarly violent, and it's touchy-feely's not bad in it, man.
Touchy-feely's not bad. I did see How to Train Your Dragon over the weekend.
Oh wow, how was that?
I was high as fuck.
All right.
Abuelo did most of the heavy lifting on that one.
Of course. Thank you, Abuela, for that.
I wasn't high as fuck. I was
Luke, you'll agree. There's this age-old debate in soccer, right? Who's better, Ronaldo or Messi? Right? Everybody's got
Ronaldo or Messi. Yes.
Ronaldo.
Yes, yeah, famous Tom Rinaldi.
Yeah, Tom Ronaldo.
The famous Italian.
Wait, when people say has Cristiano Ronaldo trumped the original Ronaldo in terms of just saying the word Ronaldo?
With this generation, certainly, yes.
So the only reference this generation has to the Brazilian Ronaldo is the time that he purchased prostitutes potentially, and
so there's the old school Brazilian Ronaldo,
number 9. He was badass.
Then there's the other Brazilian Ronaldinho. And they played for different teams.
I remember Ronaldinho, yep.
And now there's Portuguese Ronaldo.
Okay. Do you have you're a Messi guy in this debate?
Probably a Ronaldo guy.
Over
CR7, yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Let's see what this
CR7 Messi had more magic on the ball. I can't deny. But he was not in any way an aerial threat with like a header on set pieces in the kind of way that Ronaldo was. Ronaldo's a little bit more of a better athlete.
Well, this next gentleman definitely had an answer of somebody who was magic with the ball, but it was not of the two names he was asked. Oh, wrong clip. Sorry. Let's run this one. Sorry, that was my bad. Wrong setup. Let's first run the dirty boxing weigh-ins over the weekend.
Okay.
Speaking of ball cleaning here, Luke. Okay, there's co-owner John Jones.
I could hold you down and fuck you. All right. Well, that's definitely somebody who's.
You think they rode away on a scooter from the weigh-ins, caressing some curly guy's hair?
That's a lot.
That was a lot. We'll just take that out.
That's a lot.
We'll edit that out after. All right. This is going
Guys
nowhere.
are literally threatening to rape each other.
That's MMA in 2025. That's where we're at.
Are.
Okay, let's go to the soccer debate, please.
O senhor prefere o Cristiano Ronaldo ou o Lionel Messi?
Eu prefiro a Mia Khalifa.
Took a long time to get there, but it was worth it.
When
there you
I'm
go.
that age,
All right.
when I'm that age, and I'm assuming that was Portugal based on the way they sounded, and I've fled the country, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
I hope someone does that for me. Salute to that man.
All right. Luke, we know when you walk through first class, it's crop dust. What about if you walk through a movie theater?
I don't know about the rest of you guys. I enjoy farting on others.
When you walk through a movie theater, even if there's children and like they have to lean back so
it
you can
depends
cut
on where
in
I'm
front,
seated and how I'm navigating.
you would crop dust children.
Without hesitation.
So would this gentleman.
Dicks.
Did that kid just suck a fucking fart?
Yes, he did. There we go. There we go. Hey, that's a good transition. It's time to rate.
Dude, this segment is so fucking dumb, but it's the best thing that we do.
Rate that tat time, 1 to 10, Luke. 10 being a fantastic tattoo. This is a 3D tat.
Yeah, I don't care for it.
But it changes the picture.
This is not what, I mean, listen. Is it a bad tattoo? It's not a bad tattoo. But
1 to 10, Luke. You're only going like 7?
5.
5? Really? Look at that.
Yeah, I don't like. This kind of tattooing does not appeal to me.
Okay.
It's not a bad tattoo. Not a bad tattoo,
Okay.
but it does not appeal to
Do
me.
you like when people get a full backsplash shouting out to the city that they love? Kind of like if you did a DC flag on the back with buildings?
Not especially.
All right, this guy's doing Dallas more than Debbie. Watch this, Luke.
I mean,
JFK with the bullet in his head.
Dallas sucks. I don't know if anyone knows that, but it blows.
So this is not a 10 out of 10 tattoo for you.
No, that would not be. I mean, again, it's a lot of work, and it looks like the artist knows what they're doing. They're using negative space here real well, but not for me.
All right, the next tattoo I need you to rate. All I wrote down here was fuck your couch.
Yeah, what'd he say? Fuck your couch. Rick James. On whose couch?
Eddie Murphy's fucking couch.
Yeah. Now we looked at that tattoo. Now look at that eye, motherfucker. What happened?
That's a 4 tattoo, Luke. Come on, all right? Nice
That's a
idea.
3. However, her zing was an 8 or a 9. That
Let's
was
see
good.
if this tattoo of a tunnel can get us above 7 on the 1 to 10 scale, Luke.
Is that a vagina? Oh, God. Holy fuck.
I think this tattoo is called Stairway to Heaven.
Labia?
Yeah.
Stairway to Arby's?
Stairway to Hope Solo
That's
Nudes.
the
All right,
okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, let's keep it going here. It's time to feel my guitar, Luke.
Hey, Leaf, I just got this new guitar. Come feel this neck. It's maple.
Oh, shit, okay, bro.
Oh, yeah. It's a good.
What the fuck, bro?
Dude, don't make it weird, man. I just want you to feel my guitar. Do it again.
Okay, dude.
Dude,
what the
man.
fuck, bro? Ken, are you seeing this shit?
All right, it's time for MMA fighters in the
I
wild.
watch pornography. You watch like pantomimed pornography.
I
It's
did
weird.
with that dirty boxing weigh-in, pretty much.
Yeah,
I did.
I will rape you is what they
Luke,
do.
MMA fighters in the wild. Marab coming home to Georgia to a parade. Now, I'm not talking about the ATL. All right?
They're doing Marab's bit, jumping off of shit in
Oh,
crazy ass
yeah.
ways. You know.
Dude, the Georgians love this fella. And he revels in it.
I gotta
It's
say,
beautiful.
can't say he didn't earn it.
No, he did. Look
Can't
at this.
say he didn't earn it, man. They're on horseback for this
God.
motherfucking guy.
Double-decker bus. This is great. This reminds me of you and Joseph A. Bank.
No, that was an upper decker.
Sorry, upper-decker. Wrong joke. Wrong time. All right, let's keep the fighters in the wild. How about some iron sharpening iron in this gym as Song Yadong and Big Bang Zhang hooked up?
Dude, they look like completely different species. I mean, it's insane how big.
Chinese power, Alabama power.
Yeah, dude, Big Bang Zhang is so big. But this, I'm telling you, you guys today don't get it. MMA and boxing crossovers used to never happen. And now they happen all the freaking time,
Okay.
and they're still cool to me
How about
every
this
time.
MMA boxing crossover at BKFC Ice Wars over the weekend?
Can you believe
the
it?
Iceman Chuck Mindenhall with the Hitman Tommy Hearns, dude.
By the way, I like his other nickname better, Motor City Cobra.
I do too.
But look at that. But I can't tell who looks older.
Yeah, I can't tell who's more punch drunk, but I love both of those people. That's great.
Yesterday was the anniversary of his knockout of Duran.
Brutal.
Dude, I was thinking about this. How many knockouts from the 80s or 90s are so violent that they hold up under today's standards? That one is one of them.
That is an insane knockout. Just a perfect shot, full extension.
And he goes face first, completely frozen, vicious shot.
Conor McGregor, he may be a promoter these days, Luke, but he's still all man at heart. Here's him at BKFC. Okay.
I mean, he wouldn't be the first or the last guy.
Okay. Hey, let them eat cake, Luke. The weird
this-
cake lady from France is
this
back.
terrorist
okay?
back?
Okay, let's go to her house.
Yeah, why don't you just cut up your furniture and eat it, you absolute sow.
Well, it's a yummy
God
casting
damn.
couch, Luke. That is great.
Dude. Yeah,
I mean,
just keep eating things,
can
you
eat
unbelievably
everything.
sick person. Wow. Yeah, just eat it. Yeah, why don't you keep eating cake?
This
It's
is
good
going to
for you.
make people like weird and crazy if they start following
Yeah, of course.
this,
Why
right?
would there actually be things? Just live in a world of.
Imagine if everything you touched turned into cake. That's what this lady's existence is like.
Yeah, maybe like. Okay, what are we going to just cut the TV? Yeah, of course we're going to cut the TV. Why would we
All
not
right.
cut
Well,
the
Luke,
TV?
not everybody can take a joke. Some people may watch this and apply
You're
it to
gonna
their
get a lot of
lives.
micro past
You got to be careful. Watch this. See, he's watching the same videos we are. He's like, this is weird. Well,
You have shown me videos today about two men threatening to rape each other and someone eating their own feces.
well, Luke, we got another one for misogyny. The next one. You ever hear a woman talk for too long and you're like, where's the fire extinguisher, Luke?
Yo, $20 right now if you can zip of that jacket.
That's right. That was the zinger of the week. Wrong setup, but it worked too. All
Was that
right.
what's his name? Bing Bong. What's the fucking guy's
Do we
name?
have number-
Nems Gorilla.
Do we have number 10, Long Island?
Yeah, but you got another one before 10 after this. Improv comedy, 9B?
Yeah, but we already played that.
No, we didn't. I'll play it right now. Here.
Oh, I read the wrong one. Sorry about that. Go ahead. You beat me to it. Yeah.
Donnell Rollins.
How's that the first thing you give a fuck about when you get in office? Like, no, let's change these signs.
Ooh.
What the fuck?
Damn. Comedy's dangerous. It's unlawful. It's dangerous.
Whoa. What is going on?
Wait, show it one more time. I want to see that because the other person comes running out. Do it one more time.
How's that the first thing you give a fuck about when you get
Now
in
watch.
office?
Someone stands up and the other person comes running. He stands up. Boom. There it is.
Damn.
What the fuck?
Okay, you can kill it now.
Sorry, I was out of order there, Long Island Luke, in both putting these videos to light and reading them out of order. All right, let's
Do we
go.
have to watch anyone like terrorist ISIS videos of people
Probably
being
not,
beheaded?
but here's if, the ladies in other cultures speak up too much. This is what they do, Luke, apparently. That's aggressive. Okay.
I got to tell you, that's kind of my dream, though.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, you little prick. Yeah, prick.
Okay, sir. That is that's
Hey,
something
he didn't
right
start
there.
the fire, okay?
Wow. Well, we heard the zinger of the week. Now it's time for the joke of the week.
What did Cinderella say when she got to the ball? What? She said,
Well, Luke, they say don't drink and drive. Now they say don't drink and scoot.
God, we're going to get fired.
This guy is drinking and one hand on the scooter. I'm a little bit worried about that.
In 1 mile, merge onto US 101 North. In DC are fucking dangerous. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go.
Oh, no.
Here we go. Oh, you dick.
yeah.
Who brought the dick?
All right, time for some faceball. Watch this sideline reporter.
Estamos
That's a
All
single.
she got out was we are.
And now we're going to go to the double faceball.
Oh,
Ooh,
dude.
Well done.
Holy shit. That's Jason Bourne.
All right, Luke, you ever been puking on the side of the road after a long night and people won't leave you alone?
Yes,
Watch this,
that actually
gentleman.
happened to me.
Oh, you gotta chill. You gotta chill,
In
bro.
Worcester. Worcester, Mass.
Whoa!
Oh, shout out Worcester. My sister went to school there.
What are you doing? Whoa, he's throwing up. He's throwing up. He's throwing up.
Still probably the best part of his day.
I had one time I was at a party and I slept at the house overnight, like on the floor, like a bunch of people did. And then I woke up the next morning so fucking hungover that I drove like a mile past where we were. And then I had to pull over on the highway and vomit. And it was all like red from like, I guess what I'd been drinking the night before. And every time someone went by, they'd fucking honk at me.
Oh. Sir, your insides are out there.
Yeah,
like,
I was just spraying vomit all over the side of the highway.
Okay, Luke, you know...
I used to drink a lot.
You know when you go to Disney World and they have hidden Mickeys? It's like the game within the game. You look at like the wallpaper and you'll find like the hidden Mickey Mouse.
I did not know that.
There's a lot of dicks in the wild, too, you got to be on the lookout for, Luke. Check out this one. Look at that shaft, right?
That is a lot of penis.
That undercarriage. Wow. All right. Hey, you know I got that dog in me, Luke. This is our bumper sticker of the week.
Caution, this vehicle makes frequent stops for gas station hot dogs. All right, that's nice.
All right. Luke, hot dogs were a big part of my cuisine growing up, but they've never been served to me like this.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I ordered hot dogs. Oh my gosh.
Okay, here's the question. Would you eat it?
You don't possibly expect me to eat that.
Well,
I mean,
thanks.
I'd eat that before I ate the cake lady's TV.
Finally, you know that woke...
I'm just saying, hear me out. There's a case where, depending who works at that restaurant, I may or may not eat it. I'm just saying.
Finally, Luke, you know that woke trend that barbers have to ask for permission? That's now hit the UK, too.
Right, mate. So before we start the trim today, is it okay if am I allowed to touch you? Yeah, mate, sound crack on. Oh, thank you.
That's all the shit I can handle this week, Luke, okay? You got to go out with a bang on your final episode, right?
I can't believe that the North Korean censors let this on, but not my other T-shirt. How bad was my other T-shirt, BC?
Worse than the videos we just saw.
I don't know if they were that bad. I don't know if they were bad.
Actually, to be fair, I only saw one of the rejected T-shirts, and it was bad. I didn't see the other one.
Long Island Luke, is the T-shirt really worse than those videos?
Yes, and also, BC, the rejected T-shirt was the worse than the other two, so...
Yeah. Okay.
Like, wasn't that...
There we go.
The one at the factory?
No surprise.
Yeah, the factory one was pretty bad, but it wasn't as bad as this. And then there was a 9/11 one, which was in poor taste.
I didn't do the
Yeah,
9/11
that's not good. That's all the show that we're allowed to give you this week, or today.
If this was the last one, just know that
we might
tried.
be back Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, a remote episode. This weekend we do have what? UFC Azerbaijan. Baku.
Yeah. Assuming that war doesn't spread, they're going to go right next to Iran.
I don't think it's that crowded in the box this weekend, right? We're still a couple weeks out from Jake Paul and a couple other things. But
is Jake Paul the same day as UFC 317? Wow.
Yes, it is.
They're going to go head to head with that?
They are.
That's going to be kind of fun.
Depending upon what.
I look forward to not watching the Jake Paul fight.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Yeah, so that's where we're at. We're a show, and we like it to do this show.
Is that on
pay-per-view? We
pay-per-view?
like you to like the Zone pay-per-view. And we would like, I want you to want my merch at morningkombat.shop, okay? New releases every month. Long Island, Luke, LT, and BC, we're the ones that profit from this. Fantastic artwork on there from Average Joe Art, his game. What a system we've developed here. The best way that you could help the show, morningkombat.shop, and also look good this summer, okay? And t-shirts like this, but we don't sell this for good reason.
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with our store or anybody else's related to the show. This is just, I got this off of like some rando company just for the lulz.
Yeah.
Are you going to wear that on the subway?
No, you can't
Why not?
make me. I had to wear it on this show. That's the shame I have.
That's
to
my
go
gift
through
to you.
because I lost out on.
That's my gift
MK
to you.
Jeopardy,
You should wear that.
baby.
You should wear that home.
If
If you love me, you'll do it.
Would you say that this could be an aphrodisiac in disguise?
No.
Okay, that's what
I think it actually probably is going to be insanely repellent, but that's sort of the point.
Maybe you can hook me up with your doctor to get some. I don't need those pills, just for the record, okay? But
Bitch, we know you do.
Your new doctor friend. I'm 46, soon to be 47, and I enjoy doing this show. Thank you for watching. Luke Thomas, you have a birthday coming up this summer as well. You're going to be 46.
August.
Yeah. Our birthdays are like a week apart.
Old as shit.
Yeah, that's what it is. All right. That's all we can handle here. For Ken, Ken's back. Shout out to Ken.
Is he sober?
Would you bail him out for an obscene charge and agree to not tell anybody if he paid you enough? Just because you want to give him a fighting chance back in society.
It's possible.
Okay.
I'd consider it.
Okay.
I would accept his call from prison.
Long Island Luke, you got some new
You ever
stuff?
gotten a call from prison or
no,
jail?
Never.
Yeah, it's happened to me a couple times. I had a friend call me from jail.
Yeah,
no,
I knew
no,
it.
I definitely
No
did.
seat of the main card minute. We can expect content from you this week, maybe?
Yeah, I'll be doing bet breakdowns today, tomorrow, full card watch along Saturday, early card Saturday, 11
Yes, it
a.m.
is.
prelims. Looking forward to it.
I thought it was 12 prelims.
It might be 12.
Baku.
Either way. Early
Baku,
afternoon.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm not hating
It's
on
got
that.
It's got that. I don't know if it's the exact same time zone as Abu Dhabi and all that stuff, but it's roughly similar to that
Okay.
geographically. So.
Maybe I'll just stand up and show off this shirt while you take us out of here.
All right, do that. Here we go. There's Brian Campbell. Work on. There you go. There it is. All right. For the North Korean censors who got rid of the other T-shirt, for Long Island Luke and all the other donks in the back. That's BC. I'm LT. This has been MK. Until next time, may all your gains be loyal. Fuck your life.